Hello and welcome to our first ever Mario Party 4 review. We finally left the Nintendo 64 behind and moved on to the way more powerful GameCube. Here's to hoping they put that power to good use and give us a new batch of great minigames. But I won't get my hopes up just yet. We'll see how things go. First up is the story minigame Archaeologuess. You only play this minigame in story mode by coming in first on the Shy Guys Jungle Jam board. Normally we'd save special minigames like this for the end and present them as bonus minigames, but Mario Party 4 has so many special categories of minigames that we decided to roll them all in together. Archaeologuess has two players each trying to figure out which of the spinning objects looks different from the others. Whoever gets to it first will get a point, and the first to 3 points wins. But let's see if we've dug up a winner or if we're going to start Mario Party 4 off with a minigame best left in the past.
First of all, I love the name of this minigame. Way to be creative, Mario Party.
I don't know, I feel like it's kind of awkward. It's hard to say.
Archaeologuess? Oh, Archaeologuess? I guess it is hard to say, but I like the pun of it. Fortunately, the game is easier to play than it is to say the name. And it's actually pretty fun too.
Yeah, it is. All you're looking for is an object that looks different from the others, but it's enough of a challenge to keep it interesting.
And sometimes it's really hard to spot that difference. So hard that it just feels like you're guessing sometimes. But the good news is you get more than one guess. That is, if the other player hasn't guessed it right first.
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes it hard is the fact that the objects can all spin in different ways. The difference in spinning plays with your eyes and makes it even harder to see the difference.
Oh yeah, that played a lot of tricks on me. I'd end up guessing the one that looked different because of how it was spinning, not because of the actual shape.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's nice having a little bit of challenge there.
I think the only unfair thing about this minigame is that the item can be way closer to one player and not the other, so it gives one of them an advantage.
Yeah, it always sucks when it's right in front of the other person and you just can't get to it in time.
It ends up feeling more like a race than figuring out which one is the odd one out.
And I don't know if this was just a coincidence or if it was some sort of glitch, but as you can see in this footage right here, the different object appeared in the same place every single time.
Oh yeah, that was so weird. If that's ever happened to you before, let us know in the comments below because I think that was a glitch.
Yeah, I'm not going to dock the game for that, but it was kind of a weird thing to see. Overall though, this game's pretty fun. Even though there is a bit of unfairness when the object shows up in front of one person and not the other, it definitely doesn't ruin this minigame because that player might not even notice that it's right in front of them, giving you a bit of extra time to get there. And other than that, there's not really any other faults to this one. It's pretty fun trying to spot the differences, and it's rewarding when you do it. So I think we're going to give this one 4 stars out of 5.
What a great game to start off Mario Party 4 with. You know why? Because it's Mario Party 4 and this game gets 4 stars. Isn't that cool?
Wow, what a coincidence. I guess that means Mario Party 5 is going to be the best one of all.
Oh man, I can't wait to play that one. Well, first we've got to get through Mario Party 4. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That way you can stay on this journey with us through Mario Party 4. Next up, we'll be reviewing Avalanche.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's an exclamation point at the end. I think you have to pronounce it Avalanche.
Oh yeah, you're right, my bad. Avalanche!
That's better. If you want to see our review of that one, join us again next time.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to hit the slopes in today's free-for-all minigame, Avalanche! The exclamation point at the end of this one lets you know it's serious. In this one, the players have picked the wrong day for skiing because hot on their heels is a giant avalanche. Each player has to keep hitting the A button to pick up speed while watching out for rocks. If you hit one, it'll take a few seconds to get going again. You can also hit one of the jumps along the way to gain a boost, so you can use those to your advantage. Whoever is the first one to reach the end wins!
Well, I think we should start out by saying this one technically is a button masher. To go, you have to mash on the A button. However, I do want to say that this one's really not that bad. If this is the kind of button mashers we get in Mario Party 4, I think that would be okay.
I agree. I think the thing that makes this better than your average button masher is that you have to use some strategy on the course to dodge the rocks and hit the boosts.
Yeah, that does give it a nice variety. However, that brings us to another drawback, which is that there's no variation in the course. The rocks are always in exactly the same place, and the jumps are always in the same place as well. How hard would it have been for them to just randomize those?
Yeah, I feel like if you play this minigame a few times, you'll memorize the course and then be able to win it every time.
And the other drawback is that the camera angle is a little weird in this one.
Oh yeah, it was really awkward. You can't really tell if you're gonna hit the rock or not, or if you're gonna get on the boost. It's very awkward. And you also have to dodge out from the other players because if you run into one of them, they can set you back. So it's hard to see exactly where you're going.
But the minigame wasn't all horrible. We still had a pretty decent amount of fun with it. After all, it is a race, and it's fun to outrace the avalanche and go just fast enough to beat everyone else.
And to see yourself win at the end and the other players are just in snowballs.
Yeah, that makes a victory all the more sweet. Overall, this isn't a bad minigame. There are a few drawbacks, like the fact that you are technically button mashing in this one. There's also no variation in the course, and you have to play from an awkward angle that makes turning a bit difficult. However, it's still a pretty fun race, and having an avalanche hot on your heels really makes it tense, so we're still giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Balloon of Doom.
Aw man, usually balloons make me happy. I don't know if I want to play this one.
Yeah, it sounds kind of scary. Guess you'll have to come back to see what it's all about. Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Let's be honest, balloons are one of the best inventions ever made. They're one of the few things that don't have any negative connotations or uses to them. I mean, you're never gonna see them at a funeral or something, but a super happy fun birthday party? Almost definitely. And don't even get me started on how awesome hot air balloons are. That's why it pains me to see the Mario Party developers doing balloons dirty in today's Bowser minigame Balloon of Doom. This is one of 3 minigames you might run into if you land on a Bowser space. Each player takes turns ground pounding a button to pump air into a balloon, and whoever makes the balloon pop loses. The higher you jump, the more air goes into the balloon, so be strategic when you play. Now let's see if this minigame is any good. I would hate for balloons to not only be associated with Doom, but also with a bad minigame.
When you land on a Bowser space, you don't expect to enjoy what you're gonna get, and this minigame is no exception. The first issue I have with this minigame is that there's no strategy to it until the very end.
Yeah, most of the time when it's your turn to put air into the balloon, you might as well just put max air into it because there's no way it's going to pop. It's only when it gets really big that you really have to start thinking about it.
Yeah, and it takes so long to get to that point. This minigame is really slow-paced.
Yeah, it is. The amount of time it takes just to get up to the button and ground pound is so long. It has to be 15 seconds between each player going.
Yeah, the Doom in this one is mostly bored Doom.
Yeah, and speaking of bored, I like how Bowser's just sitting there in his chair like he just doesn't care. The entire time you're playing, he just looks like he's bored. That's kind of funny. But overall, that's about the only good thing to say about this one. It's not fun to play, it takes forever to get through it, and even though it does let you strategize a little bit with how much air you put into the balloon, most of the time you're not going to just because the balloon has so much longer to go until it's even getting close to popping. And since this one ends with one person losing and nothing happening to the rest of the people, there's not even any payoff for staying in. It's not rewarding at all, so we're giving this one 1 star out of 5.
We hate to see that happen so soon in this series. Well, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Barrel Baron.
Let's hope it's not barren of any fun.
Guess we'll find out.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Have you ever wanted to strike it rich with black gold? Well, today's minigame might scratch that itch for you. It's the extra room minigame Barrel Baron. If you don't know, Mario Party 4 has a separate mode called the extra room that lets you play some minigames you won't see anywhere else. Barrel Baron is a single-player minigame in which you have 1 minute to find as much oil as you can. You do this by either feeling for the biggest rumbles in your controller or by following the exclamation points above your head if you have the rumble turned off. There are 3 sizes of oil deposits you can find. The smallest are worth 1 point, medium are worth 10, and the biggest are worth a whopping 100 points. Your only goal here is to get the highest score you can. So let's get digging and see if this game is rich and fun or if the oil will run dry.
Well, honestly, I don't know if I had the most fun with this one.
Same. I thought the concept would be pretty fun, but when I was playing it, it was a little bit too difficult to figure out where to get the oil. You have to make sure you're lined up just right, and you can't be moving too fast.
Yeah, and you also have to be facing the right way. You can't just be in the general area of it. It just made it really hard to figure out where it was at.
Yeah, I really didn't like that. And the fact that why even bother wasting your time on the 1 exclamation point, or even the 2, because they're both worth so little points.
Oh, I know, there's just so much of a difference between 10 and 100 points. My strategy was always to go for the 3 exclamation point rumbles first, and then once those were out of the way, go for the 2s. I never found more than 3 of the biggest rumble spots, so I think it maxes out at 3.
Yeah, that's a really good strategy. I just found that I wasted so much time trying to find where to go though, so I really didn't do very well. Which I guess is part of the minigame, but it just didn't make it very fun.
Yeah, and in a minigame centered around getting the highest score, there's sort of an upper limit to how many points you can get. Like, you're never going to get a score that's higher than the 300, since there's only 3 of the biggest deposits to find. I think the highest we had is 331, but that seems like about the upper limit. You only have a minute, so no matter how much you do, you're not going to get much more than that.
Yeah, that is an odd limitation for this minigame. Have you guys scored higher than that? Let us know in the comments below if it's just us.
One thing I did like about this one though is that after you were done, it gave you a name based on how well you did. Like, if you got a really low score, you might just be called a gas station attendant, but if you get a really high one, it was something like the Prince of Oil or something like that. It was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, that was a great added detail.
But overall, there's not a whole lot of good to be said about this. The nicknames are funny, but the most important part of a minigame is the gameplay, and unfortunately it's a little lacking there. It's tough to find where the deposits are, and because you have to be facing in the right direction to find the deposit, it makes it even harder. Because it's such a frustrating time while playing it, we're giving this one 2 stars out of 5.
Well, thanks for watching. That's it for today. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Beach Volley Folly. Man, a day at the beach sounds nice right about now.
Yeah, but the fact that they put Folly in the name almost makes me feel like they know this one's not any good. Hopefully that's not the case though, but I guess we'll find out.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're hitting the beach today in this extra room minigame Beach Volley Folly. In case you don't know, the extra room is a mode in Mario Party 4 that has some minigames you won't see in the rest of the game. Beach Volley Folly can be played with up to 4 players and, as you can guess, you're trying to win a game of volleyball. You can run to the spot where the ball is going to land to hit it, and you can also jump and hit the ball to spike it. The first team to reach 5 points wins.
I found this minigame to be very annoying and frustrating to play.
Yeah, holy cow, this was a rough one. I don't know if it was just us, but we never won a single game when we were playing this. And honestly, it was difficult just to figure out what we were doing wrong.
Yeah, sometimes when the ball came over to our side, it would hit the sand before I could even move an inch.
Yeah, and we had a super tough time trying to figure out how to spike the ball. The instructions say you just have to jump and then hit it, but for some reason, we could not get it to work. It took us so many plays of this to finally figure out that you have to be facing the net when you jump and then hit the ball. But that's really tough to do when you barely have enough time to get to the ball before it hits the sand.
Yeah, the fact that you need to get over there and then line yourself up before you hit it just seems impossible. You have such a limited time to do that.
There are a few tiny cool things about this one though. The first one is that there's 2 different modes. There's a battle and a free play mode. But really, they play the same. If you go into a battle match, it says that your opponents will get harder and harder the more you play it. But since we couldn't get past 1 round of it, we never saw enough of it to know how that worked. It's also cool that in free play, you can choose to play characters that you wouldn't normally be able to play in Mario Party 4, like Toad and Boo and Bowser. Again, it doesn't change the gameplay, but it's a cool little addition.
Yeah, I'm glad they added that. Honestly, to me, that's the best part of the minigame.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's the issue with this one. Overall, it's just not a very good minigame. It's tough to play and tough to figure out how all the mechanics work, and even when you do know how they work, it's difficult to actually execute them. It's not really fun when you just feel like you're fighting against the controls the entire time, and it makes the game really hard to win. There are a couple tiny positives in the fact that there's 2 different modes to the game, and the fact that it opens up more players that you wouldn't normally get to play with in Mario Party 4. But since those don't really affect the gameplay at all, we're giving this one 1 star out of 5.
Gosh, this is only the 5th minigame we've played for Mario Party 4. We've already had 2 1-star minigames.
That's true, but I feel like we might have been too easy on some minigames in Mario Party 3.
Well, hopefully we'll play some better minigames in Mario Party 4. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Blame It on the Crane.
Oh man, I'm having some bad flashbacks of Crane Game. Hopefully it's not like that one.
Oh gosh, I really hope not. That game was awful. You'll have to come back to see what Blame It on the Crane is all about. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. One of the worst minigames in both Mario Party 1 and 2 was Crane Game. If you ever talk to someone who doesn't like Mario Party, one of the minigames they'll bring up as a reason why they don't like it is Crane Game. So I guess in a sense, you could blame it on the crane. And that brings us to today's 1 vs 3 minigame, Blame It on the Crane. Luckily for us, it doesn't have a lot to do with Crane Game, although it could be inspired by it a little bit. One person plays the part on the crane while the other 3 players get in balls and try and stay away from the crane. The rotating platform makes it a little tricky to time your moves whether you're the single player or one of the others. But does it make enough changes to Crane Game to improve it at all? Let's find out!
Well, I think it's safe to say that this one's definitely better than Crane Game.
Definitely.
That one had very little redeeming qualities. This one, we both did enjoy it. I don't think it's an amazing minigame, but we did walk away from it liking it.
Yeah, I agree. One of the downsides of Crane Game in Mario Party 1 and 2 was that if you were on the team of 3, you basically don't have to do anything because it's so challenging to get those players. And maybe you mash A to get the player to stop picking you up, but really, did that ever work for anyone? This one's much more engaging for both the team of 3 and the single player.
Yeah, there's definitely a good strategy whether you're the crane or not. If you're the crane, you really have to time your moves just right so that you don't miss anyone. Figuring out that timing is crucial. And if you're one of the players, there's several strategies you can do. One good strategy is to stay next to the other players and all the shy guys so that it makes it harder for the crane player to get you. And another good strategy that I discovered is to try and walk through the crane when you get to that section. If you kind of race under them, they'll have less of a chance of getting you and it'll be harder for them to figure out the timing.
Yeah, you fooled me a few times with those moves.
And that brings us to another issue we had with it, which is that it's kind of hard to grab the players.
Yeah, sometimes I get really close, but miss by just a little bit, and then have to wait for you to come all the way around again.
But that does mean that this game has a good, rewarding feel to it, no matter which side you're on. If you're the crane player, every time you finally snag another player, you feel really good about it. And if you're one of the players in the balls, it feels so nice to slip out of the reach of the crane at the last second.
Yeah, that's true. We did have a lot of games that ended at the last second. The one complaint I had about it was when you're on the team of 3, you can move, but you move so slowly that it doesn't really feel like you're doing that much.
Yeah, it's a little tedious to move. And overall, that's kind of what this minigame is about. It's got a lot of good sides to it, but also a lot of flaws that hold it back. There is a good amount of strategy involved in it no matter which side you're on, and it's also pretty rewarding for both sides as well. Unfortunately, when you're one of the players in the balls, your movement does feel pretty slow, and if you're the crane player, it can be kind of hard to grab the players. So because of all of this, we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Bob-omb Breakers. Maybe we'll see our friend Bobby from Paper Mario the Origami King.
I hate to break it to you, but I don't know if he'll be showing up.
Drats.
We'll probably see some of his friends though.
Guess you'll have to come back to find out. Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. One of our favorite minigames from Mario Party 3 was Mario's Puzzle Party. It was a great puzzle game that definitely had more depth than most other Mario Party minigames. That's why we were excited to play today's free-for-all minigame, Bob-omb Breakers. Bob-omb Breakers plays a lot like Mario's Puzzle Party. Your goal is to be the first to get to 100 points. To do this, you need to connect 3 of the same shapes to make them disappear. But the twist to this one is that you don't have to stay in your own section to do that. You're free to place blocks anywhere, which means you can drop things by someone else to screw them up or steal their combo before they're able to complete it. And as another twist, if you surround a Bob-omb with pieces, they'll explode and reward you with a lot of points, so the use of those is key. But let's find out if it's any good.
I actually had a lot of fun with this one.
Same, just like Mario's Puzzle Party, this has a lot of depth to it and it's really fun to play.
It really is. The one thing I didn't really get about it though, is why do we have sections? I feel like it would have been just as fun if it was a wide open board without color coding it for different players.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the point of the color coding was besides maybe just making it clear where you're starting. I definitely made it a point to go into other people's sections though.
I feel like you have to win the minigame. When I first started playing it, I was definitely staying more in my section and found it irritating when people were putting shapes in there that I didn't put because I was working to build my combos. So it is a little bit weird to play if you're not used to playing like that.
Yeah, if you just want to do your own thing, you might have an issue with this minigame.
I did like it though. If I had a shape that didn't quite fit in my section, I could just toss it in someone else's and not care about it.
Me too. One of my favorite strategies was just looking at what everyone else was doing and stealing their combos before they were able to finish them. Not only did it give you more points, but it stopped them from getting any points.
Yeah, that was so rude though. But I think it's kind of how you have to play this minigame. I think on top of that, you also really have to use those Bob-ombs to your advantage because those give you a lot of points.
Yeah, holy cow, they really do. Getting a couple combos with those can really put you ahead of the pack. Just like Mario's Puzzle Party, we both really like this one. If you like puzzle games, you're definitely going to enjoy this one. There's a lot of depth and strategy to it, and it's really rewarding to win this one. However, the fact that you can go into other people's sections can be seen as a positive or negative depending on what kind of player you are. It does add more strategy to it, but it also makes things more confusing because not only do you have to keep an eye on your section, but you have to keep an eye on what everyone else is doing to make sure they're not coming over to screw you up, and to make sure that you're not missing any combos you should take advantage of. That doesn't make this one a bad minigame though, so we're giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Bob-omb Crossing.
Wow, 2 Bob-omb minigames in a row.
They must be having a family reunion.
Huh, that's actually kind of a scary thought. A bunch of bombs all congregating together. I don't know if I'd want to join in on that.
Yeah, it does seem dangerous.
Well, come back for our next review of Bob-omb Crossing.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Fresh off the heels of yesterday's Bob-omb Breakers is Bob-omb Crossing. This is another single-player minigame in Mario Party 4's Extra Room, and your only goal here is to survive. You find yourself in the middle of a 4-way intersection brimming with Bob-ombs just waiting to explode. Some of them will just do their own thing, but some will run after you before exploding, so be careful. There's not really any winning in this one. Your goal is to just keep trying to set new high scores by staying alive for longer. But is it fun enough to even bother trying to stay alive? Let's find out.
Yeah, this one was actually a pretty good single-player minigame. As opposed to Barrel Baron, which is also single-player and focused on just getting a high score, I think this one executes it way better. There's not a ceiling like there is in Barrel Baron, so you can go for a really long time before dying, and it's fun to see how long you can survive.
Oh, absolutely. This one is definitely more fun to play than Barrel Baron. Some of the times I played, I would die really quickly, and then I realized I was disappointed. It's one of those minigames I just wanted to keep playing. It has a really fun, intense and chaotic spirit about it, which we love.
Yeah, I love the survival-focused minigames like this one.
I think this minigame has a lot of replayability, and you could easily spend hours trying to beat your high score.
Oh yeah, for sure. The longest one I had was 3 minutes and 20 seconds, which was actually really long. I think other than that, our highest score was around 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think you're right, but that didn't stop us from wanting to play more and more and try and beat that score.
No, definitely not. I wonder what the highest score someone's gotten for this game is. Have any of you gotten a higher score than this? Let us know in the comments. And if you haven't played this one, you probably should. Overall, it's a really fun single-player minigame. It's nice that Mario Party 4 has these minigames that are more focused on getting high scores rather than just waiting out the clock or beating the other players. It adds a lot of replayability to them. I also love the intense and chaotic atmosphere of this one when you're running away from all the Bob-ombs about to explode. It really makes you want to just go one more round. I don't think we really had any huge issues with this one, and we had a lot of fun, so we're going to give it 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Well, that's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And for those of you who already subscribed, thank you so much. It's really nice to see that there's other people out there that like Mario Party as much as us. Next up, we'll be reviewing Book Squirm.
Oh, I remember this one. I feel like people talk about this in the same breath as other classic Mario Party minigames, but we'll have to see if it holds up or not. Come back to find out with us.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. When people talk about classic Mario Party minigames, you hear a lot of the same names pop up. Bumper Balls, Mushroom Mix-Up, Tipsy Tourney, but the one we're here to talk about today is another one you often hear about. It's the free-for-all minigame Book Squirm. If you compare it to the other classics of the series, it seems to check all the boxes. It's a simple concept that's easy to play and it's hectic in all the right ways. Everyone finds themselves inside the pages of a book, and each page has different shaped holes cut out of it. As the pages come down, you have to run to one of the holes so that you don't get smashed, and whoever survives the longest will win. But does it deserve its status as a classic minigame, or is it overhyped? Let's find out.
This is definitely a classic minigame. I loved playing this one. I thought it had a really good amount of challenge and strategy, but was still really enjoyable.
Yeah, me too. This is one of the best examples of everything good about Mario Party. It's a good one that anyone can pick up and be immediately good at, but it also offers enough challenge to keep it interesting to more seasoned players.
Yeah, I definitely found this one more challenging than you did. I had a little bit of a hard time figuring out how to line myself up best, especially on the moon shapes. For some reason, I always was standing in the wrong spot, but that didn't stop it from being fun.
Yeah, I did find that you had a little bit of trouble if you weren't in the widest part of the crescent moons, but I don't think it hinders the game too much. It's more just something you have to remember.
Yeah, once I realized that was a little challenging for me, I made it a point to stand in the circles, which then made it more fun to try and find those first.
Definitely. One thing I wonder is if it would be fun to have some sort of like punch maneuver that you could do to other players. It'd be cool to punch somebody out of your shape at the last second and cause them to be flattened, but that might be overcomplicating it.
Yeah, I don't know if this minigame even needs that. I mean, there were times where a lot of players were sitting under the same shape, so it did make it a little challenging to make sure you were underneath it so you would be safe. But then again, if you could push someone out of the way, maybe that would make it more fun.
Yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot of bad stuff to say about this one. We had a great time with this one all around, and it's one that we just wanted to keep playing even when we were done filming our footage. And overall, I feel like no matter what kind of minigames you like most in Mario Party, this is going to be towards the top of your list. It's your classic example of a great Mario Party minigame where it's simple to play and leads to a lot of fun times with the people around you. It gets super tense, and every time you die, it just makes you sad, not because you lost out on the chance to win some coins, but because you don't get to play anymore. That's exactly what you want out of a Mario Party minigame, so I don't think there's any way we can give this any less than 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Yeah, this is definitely a 5-star minigame. Well, that's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Bowser Bop. Well, let's bop to it.
If you want to bop with us too, join us for our next video.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to take out our frustrations on Bowser yet again in the story minigame Bowser Bop. In story mode, you'll be playing it against Toad, but once you do, you'll unlock it for free play. Bowser Bop has 2 players in some sort of weird room full of dressers and cabinets. Koopa Kid heads will randomly pop out and the players will hit them with their mallets to gain points. And keep a close eye on Bowser heads that occasionally pop out as well. Those are worth 2 points each instead of 1. Whoever gets the most points when the time is up will win. Now get out there and rid this odd room of all the Koopa Kids and Bowser heads.
Yeah, I didn't think this minigame was that special. I guess I didn't mind playing it, but it didn't really grab me in any way.
Same. I just kept going back to the same 3 dressers and bopping Koopa Kids. It felt really repetitive.
Yeah, there's just not really much to it, which can be said for a lot of Mario Party minigames, but in this case it's just kind of missing something. I think maybe it's just because it's kind of unrewarding to hit the heads that come out. You never really know if you're lined up just right, and there's not really any good feedback on screen when you hit them. You either do or don't.
Yeah, I noticed that. If you're at a dresser with 2 heads that pop out, you have to line yourself up just so you can hit both at the same time. Otherwise, you're gonna just hit one and then try and get to the other before they go back inside the dresser. It's kinda awkward.
Yeah, but it's definitely a good strategy to try and get both heads in one hit. You're basically doubling your points when you do that. I tried to do that as much as I could.
Me too, that and find the Bowser heads.
Yeah, that's another good strategy. Although those don't really pop up that often in a minigame called Bowser Bop. It should be called Koopa Kid Bop, honestly.
True, that and if you do see them, sometimes you won't get to the item that they're in fast enough, so you won't get to bop them anyway.
Yeah, so overall, this is an okay minigame. Neither of us hated to play it, but we didn't have a ton of fun with it either. It's kind of repetitive to play, and it doesn't really feel rewarding to hit any of the Koopa Kid or Bowser heads. I feel like this could be better, but as it is, we're giving it 3 stars out of 5. You won't hate to play it, but you won't look forward to it either.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Bowser Wrestling. I guess Bowser got tired of us bopping him on the head and now he wants to wrestle. This escalated.
Yeah, it did. Now let's find out if it's more fun to play than this one. If you want to see how it is, come back to watch it.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're playing our first Etc. minigame in Mario Party 4 today with Bowser Wrestling. This is a special minigame that can only be played in party or story mode on the Bowser's Gnarly Party board, but once you've played it, it's unlocked for free play. This has you and an opponent facing off in a circular wrestling ring. When the minigame starts, each player has to tap A to advance on the other opponent and gain an early advantage. After that, each player hits the L and R buttons to shove their opponent, but if you go too fast, you'll run out of stamina and leave yourself open to your opponent's attacks. Whoever pushes the other player off the edge first will win the minigame.
I found this minigame pretty frustrating to play. Your instinct is to mash the L and R buttons as fast as possible, but don't do that, because then you're going to run out of mushrooms really quick. And once you do, it's just kind of hard to come back from that, because the other player is going to attack you more and more.
Yeah, you definitely have to slow down and hit L and R pretty slowly to make sure that you don't run out of stamina, but it just kind of makes it unrewarding to play. Your instinct is to just go all out and try and get the other player off the edge as fast as you can, but this kind of punishes you for that. So really you're just sitting there slowly hitting L and R, making sure your stamina doesn't run out, and just waiting for the minigame to be over.
Yeah, it was really unrewarding and kind of frustrating. I have to say, I didn't really enjoy this one.
Occasionally a mushroom will fall down in the middle of the stage, and whoever gets it will have their stamina fully replenished. But the problem with this is that since it comes down in the middle, whichever player is winning is going to get it first. Since they'll be over on the other player's side, all they have to do is back up a bit and get the mushroom, and then it's basically an instant win for them.
I think that's what happened to us every single time. It just felt really unfair after a while. I think the mushroom placement should be random.
Yeah, for sure. Overall, neither of us really like this one very much. It's pretty boring to play, and it's also annoying. It's not rewarding when you're slowly hitting L and R just waiting for it to get over. And the fact that a free mushroom will come down and replace the stamina of whoever's winning really kind of ruins this one. It makes it unrewarding to play and unrewarding to win when you feel like you didn't even do it yourself. I don't really think we have many good comments to say about this one, so we're giving it 1 star out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Bowser's Bigger Blast. Ooh, do you think this is gonna be anything like Bowser's Big Blast?
I hope so.
That one was great.
Yeah, let's just hope they didn't ruin it by adding any weird stuff to it. But I guess we'll find out next time. Come back to watch it with us.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We have a treat for you today because we're playing the follow-up to one of our favorite Mario Party 2 minigames. It's the battle minigame, Bowser's Bigger Blast. But what makes this blast bigger than Bowser's Big Blast in Mario Party 2? Well, I'm not sure in all honesty. Maybe there's more explosives in the Bowser heads? It's kind of hard to tell. For those of you who didn't watch our original review, we'll link it below. Bowser's Bigger Blast has every player choosing a plunger and hoping it doesn't make the giant Bowser head explode. Every round has one plunger connected to the detonator, and if you choose that one, you're blown away in the blast and out of the game. Whoever is the last player standing wins.
Well, this was one of our favorite minigames in Mario Party 2, and honestly, I love it just as much here.
Me too! This is such a great game.
Yeah, I know some people don't like these random chance minigames, but if they're done right, they can be enjoyable.
If they're done right, they're some of my favorite minigames in the series.
Me too. They're so tense and fun to play with friends.
To me, they're the epitome of a great Mario Party minigame. It's a great party game, it gets you all tense and excited, and it's really fun to play.
I will say that they didn't change anything in this one compared to the original in Mario Party 2. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing because it was perfect as is before, but it's definitely something to note.
Honestly, I don't think they needed to make any changes. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below if you think there should have been changes made.
Yeah, I don't really know what they would have changed.
Well, one thing to note is that they have one more plunger than they do players, so that way everyone gets an opportunity to stay into the next round. Maybe a change they could have made would be to eliminate that extra plunger. That way someone's eliminated every single round, no matter what.
Yeah, I could see that being fun. If you're the last player to go and there's only one plunger left, you pretty much know that you're walking to your death. That could lead to some funny situations when you're playing with friends.
Yeah, it could, but this minigame's great as is.
And overall, I think that's the only thing you need to know about this one. It was perfect in Mario Party 2 and it's perfect here. If you like these random chance minigames, this is the best example of them. It's great fun and really intense, and leads to a lot of laughs when you're playing with other people. Maybe they could have added something to make this a little different from Mario Party 2, but we can't really think of anything, so we're giving it 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Well, that's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Butterfly Blitz. Do you think the prequel to this minigame is Caterpillar Crawl?
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Come back to watch it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. The dictionary defines blitz as an intensive or sudden military attack. That's why I'm confused about the naming of today's battle minigame, Butterfly Blitz. Are the butterflies in the minigame some military unit attacking the Mushroom Kingdom? Or maybe us players are attacking the peaceful butterflies? I don't know. Butterfly Blitz gives you 1 minute to collect as many butterflies in your net as you can. The yellow ones are worth 1 point, red 2, and blue 3. Whoever racks up the most points before time is up will win.
I think one of the best strategies for this minigame is definitely going towards the blue butterflies first. Since they are worth the most points, it makes sense that you want to try and capture as many of those as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did too. Another good strategy is to line up your net with the shadow of the butterfly, just because it was kind of hard for me to catch the butterflies if I was trying to line up my net with them. Using the shadows helped me.
Oh yeah, I used that too. It definitely helped me to line up myself with the shadows.
Did you notice any difference in whether you swung your net overhand or to the side? I tried to do both to see what worked better, but I don't know if I really noticed a difference. I did about the same no matter which method I used.
You know, I think the overhead worked a little bit better for me. Doing side to side, I wasn't quite sure on the range of the side motion, so sometimes I would use it and the butterfly would be too far away. When I went overhead, I always captured the butterfly I was trying to get, so I felt like I was a little bit more successful doing that, but I did use both of them from time to time.
Yeah, it might just depend on your play style. I don't know if one is seriously better than the other.
Do you guys have a preference? Let us know in the comments below if you found that overhead or side to side worked better for you. I'm curious.
Me too. I did think that the game was fun to play though. It's not one of my favorite mini games, but I enjoyed it.
I did too. One of the critiques I have for this minigame though was that it was really hard to tell if you were catching them. So you don't really know how well you did until the end. There were a couple of times where I thought I did horrible and didn't catch any. Turns out I caught a lot of blue ones and didn't even know it.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
It's just odd. I'd like to know how I'm doing while playing the minigame instead of waiting to the end, but that's just me.
For sure. So overall, this minigame's not bad. I don't think it'll ever be one of our favorite ones, but we enjoyed it while we were playing it. There's a good amount of strategy that goes into it, since you have to try and line up your net with the shadows and decide if you want to move your net overhand or to the side. But ultimately, it's just not extremely rewarding to play. It's hard to visually see if you're lining up your net with the butterfly, unless, like I said, you use the shadows, which makes it a little easier. And it's also difficult to know how well you're doing, so there's not really a good sense of accomplishment that you might have if you knew that you were doing way better than everyone else. It's not until the end that you find out how you did. So when we weigh the benefits and drawbacks together, I think it's clear that this one gets 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay up to date on all of our Mario Party 4 content. Up next, we'll be reviewing Candlelight Flight. I don't think it's safe for Mario to drive a plane by candlelight.
Yeah, that's probably not the best idea. But then again, Mario Party's never been about safety.
That's true. If you want to see what kind of wacky situation Mario gets himself into next, come back to watch our review. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Don't play with fire. Just don't. This should go without saying, but unfortunately, not everyone heeds this warning. Today's minigame is the perfect example of this. It's the 1 vs 3 minigame, Candlelight Flight. One player runs around holding a candle while the other 3 players try and put it out with squirt guns. It takes 5 squirts to put out the candle, and if the 3 players get 5 shots in before time runs out, they win. But if the single player survives until time is up, they'll win. Now, let's get into this minigame and see how badly things go when someone decides to play with fire.
Well, this definitely could have gone worse, although it also could have gone better.
I think what you mean to say is, this minigame was just okay.
That is what I meant to say, thank you.
Anytime.
There are some fun parts about it.
Are there?
Well, sort of, but they're also kind of hampered down by some issues with the minigame. Like, if you're the single player, it is pretty fun trying to run away from everyone. Unfortunately, it's also really hard for you to win. Did we have a single minigame where the single player won in this one?
We might have had 1 or 2, but it really wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely skewed towards the team side. I think the single player needs to have some sort of advantage over the others. I mean, there's 3 of them, but only 1 of you.
Yeah, I agree with that. The only strategy that I found that worked when I was playing as a single player was just to move as erratically as possible. If I got hit, I'd immediately turn and go into the opposite direction than what I was heading. That way, I hoped it at least confused some of the other players.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good strategy. Unfortunately, since there's 3 players, it's usually pretty easy for at least one of them to cut off from the pack and still chase you down. I think it would have been good if the single player had some advantage, like being able to run faster than everyone else, just to give them some sort of edge.
Yeah, I think that might make this minigame a little bit more fair. When I was on the team of 3, I didn't even really need a strategy. I mean, one thing that hinders them is that when you use your squirt gun, you are stopped for a minute, but it's really not that long to really make a difference.
So overall, is this the worst game to play? No, not really. It is fun chasing down the single player, and as a single player, it is fun when you're able to run away and dodge all the squirt guns. Unfortunately, there's just not many times when you're able to dodge them for long enough to win this minigame. You have no sort of advantage over the team, and since they outnumber you, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to win this one. So this definitely could have been better, but it could have been worse. We're giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Chain Chomp Fever.
Uh-oh, somebody get Dr. Mario in the house.
Yeah, sounds like Chain Chomp might need him.
We'll come back to play it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Somebody grab a thermometer because we have a sick Chain Chomp on our hands with today's battle minigame, Chain Chomp Fever. The players find themselves on a treacherous platform over lava fighting for their lives. Unfortunately, there's fire popping up from the ground and a Chain Chomp that's trying to do everything in its power to stop them from surviving. It's your job to dodge the fire and Chain Chomp until time is up, or until no one else is left to win this minigame. good luck and Godspeed.
This minigame was really intense and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed this one a lot.
Me too. It's one of those intense survival minigames that you just really look forward to in Mario Party.
Yeah, for sure. We played this one a lot just because we were enjoying it. I think the cool twist about this one is that not only are you just trying to survive from the chain chomp, but you also have to survive the fire that's shooting up out of the ground. There was a lot of times when one of us would get so focused on what the chain chomp was doing that we would forget that we were standing over one of the fire spouts and end up dying from that.
Oh man, yeah, that's true. This minigame definitely had a challenge in that aspect. It was hard to keep your eyes on both of them and make sure you didn't get hit by the chain chomp or the fire. But it made it a lot of fun trying to do that.
Yeah, it really tested your mind. There was a lot of funny scenarios where just two people would be left, and then one of them would immediately die because fire hit them.
Well, yeah, because you want to move out of the way of the chain chomp because he's coming right at you, but you don't think there's going to be fire coming up from the crack in the ground. But then all of a sudden there is. It's a wild time.
Overall, this is definitely a winner. Both of us had a lot of fun playing this, and I don't think either one of us see any faults in it. I don't think there's even anything that we would change or potentially improve in it, which is always a good sign. It's all about survival, and not only do you have to pay attention to what the chain chomp is doing, but you also have to pay attention to the fire that's coming out of the ground, so it really tests your mental stamina. It's not so hard to do though that it makes it less fun, it just adds to the intensity. So because of how much fun we had, and how little downsides there are to this one, we're giving this one an easy 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Yeah, that minigame was a lot of fun to play. Well, thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Challenge Book Squirm.
Another book squirm?
What kind of challenge are they gonna add to it?
I don't know, but we might be looking at another 5-star minigame. We're on a roll.
Well, fingers crossed they don't mess it up.
Come find out with us.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Today we're playing the free-for-all minigame, Book Squirm. Wait, that can't be right. We already played that one. Oh, I see the problem. This is actually Challenge Book Squirm, an extra room minigame. But what makes this one different from regular Book Squirm? Well, if you haven't watched Book Squirm, we'll link the video below, but it's a simple premise. Pages of a book are closing on you, and you have to run to the holes in the pages to avoid being smashed, and the last player standing wins. Challenge Book Squirm is a little more open-ended than that, though. Now you're aiming for a high score rather than outliving your opponents. Theoretically, this one can go on forever if you're good enough. But will you even care enough to keep trying, or will you instead just want to go back and play regular Book Squirm? Let's find out!
Yeah, just like Book Squirm, this one is pretty great. It doesn't really change up anything from Book Squirm, but I'm okay with that.
Me too. When we played Book Squirm, I wanted to keep going, so this is perfect.
Yeah, an endless version of Book Squirm was a really good thing to add into Mario Party, I think. I could see myself going through this occasionally and just trying to beat my high score.
Yeah, me too. I think they knew this minigame was going to be a hit and they needed to have more options to play it. It really doesn't change anything about regular Book Squirm, which wasn't even an issue because regular Book Squirm's already really fun. I don't think there's anything they needed to change.
No, not at all. That means we'll probably have a pretty short video today, but it's definitely worth playing. So overall, if you're a fan of Book Squirm, you'll love Challenge Book Squirm. It's more of the same, but not in a bad way. It gives you an excuse to go back through Book Squirm and play it over and over to try and beat your high score. Our high score was 21, which seems kinda low to me, so if anyone out there's beat it, let us know. Other than that, there's not a ton to say about this one. It's great fun and one of the best minigames Mario Party has to offer. There's absolutely no flaws in this one that we could find, so we're giving it 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Well, that's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Speaking of subscribing, we have some exciting news. We just hit 100 subscribers. I know that number might not seem very high, but to us, it's a lot. We really appreciate all the support you guys have given us, and it's really neat to see a community come together, especially over something like Mario Party. Well, our next review will be Cheep Cheep Sweep. I wonder if this will be anything like Cheep Cheep Chase.
I sure hope not. That one kinda sucked.
Yeah. Guess you'll have to come back to find out. Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Today we're playing the 2 vs 2 minigame Cheep Cheep Sweep. Sounds like what I call the broom I bought at the dollar store. Anyway, Cheep Cheep Sweep is a minigame in a similar vein to Butterfly Blitz, with a few notable differences. Like that one, your goal here is to collect as many Cheep Cheeps as you can. But where that one let you collect as many butterflies as you could, this one only lets you have a maximum of 3 Cheep Cheeps in your net at a time before you have to empty it into your team's area. You'll also have to be sneaky when getting close to the Cheep Cheeps or they'll swim away. The red ones are worth 1 point and the gold ones 2. Whichever team ends with the highest score will win the minigame.
Okay, so I found it so annoying to sneak up on the Cheep Cheeps.
Yeah, so did I. I started off going slowly for them, but even what I considered slow still wasn't slow enough and they would still just swim away.
I know, that happened to me too.
You have to crawl through the water to get a chance to catch any of these.
It's almost painful how slow you have to go.
Yeah, I mean, I get the concept in theory, but it's just kind of a slog playing this minigame. You move slowly through the water, but even that's not enough for the game and it makes you move even slower if you want to win.
And I found it kind of hard to scoop up the Cheep Cheeps. Even when they were right there, like on my feet, for some reason I couldn't get them.
Yeah, that happened to me too. It just makes it all the more frustrating.
Yeah. I think one kind of cool detail they added was that you have to go drop off the Cheep Cheeps in your team's net. It's kind of an annoying thing to have to do, but it adds a little bit more dimension to this minigame and makes it a little bit more challenging. Unfortunately, getting those Cheep Cheeps is super annoying.
Yeah, it is. It's also rewarding to catch the gold ones before the other team does and pull out ahead, but it doesn't really save this one. In fact, we found a weird little loophole in this one where if your team takes the lead early, you basically don't have to do anything except stand by the other team. If you stay close to them, but run around, it'll scare all the Cheep Cheeps away and the other team will never have a chance to catch another one. So whichever team pulls out ahead first is basically ensured to win.
I feel like when we did that, it kind of broke the minigame, but doing it was a little bit more rewarding than catching the Cheep Cheeps.
Yeah, this minigame's not great, but there are slight little parts of it that do feel a little rewarding. It probably shouldn't feel good to screw over the other team, but it does. But overall, it doesn't really help this minigame too much. Even though you can find your own fun in it, there's still not a whole lot of fun to be had. You have to wade through the water so slowly, and you have to slow yourself down even more to have a chance to catch the Cheep Cheeps. It makes it really unfun to play, not to mention the fact that you can break this minigame if you pull out ahead first. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to give this one 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You know, usually we tell you the name of the next minigame, but we'll leave you on a cliffhanger for this one.
If you want to find out what we're playing next, come back to watch our next video.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Well, we left you on a cliffhanger at the end of our last video by not telling you which minigame was coming up today. But the joke's on you, because today's minigame is cliffhangers. Gotcha!
Gotcha.
Anyway, cliffhangers is a 2 vs 2 minigame where you and your partner are tied together and scaling a mountain. Why they felt like it was safer to rope themselves to each other instead of to the mountain is anyone's guess. I guess safety isn't much of a concern. If one of them goes down, they both do. In it together like true friends. Along your path to the top, you'll have to watch out for strong gusts of wind. When one of these comes by, grab onto the cliff as quick as possible, or you'll be pulled down the cliffside. Whichever team reaches the top first wins.
Man, when you say to watch out for strong gusts of wind, you really mean it. These things pull you down so easily, and I feel like it's all but impossible to stay clinging onto the wall if you're the player that's above the other one. Whoever's in the lead seems like they have basically no time to hang on before the wind pulls them down.
Yeah, why is that though?
I have no idea. The only way I could get myself to stay safe when the wind came was if I pushed it preemptively before the wind actually started. Other than that, if I was in the lead, I'd be pulled down every time.
Yeah, that happened to me too. You want to make sure you press A and hold down before the exclamation points pop up. For some reason, you don't have to do that when you're the bottom player.
Yeah, and it's kind of annoying that you don't really have much warning if you're in the lead because you don't want to keep pushing the button and waiting if the wind doesn't actually come, because that just gives the other team more of a chance to catch up and pass you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the strategy I felt for this one that worked best was just to keep on going, rather than hold preemptively. Also, you really want to make sure you work together on this one. You should decide which way you're going before you end up hitting a cliff, because if you're trying to go two different directions, that'll end badly.
Yeah, but good luck if you're with one of the computer players. One time when I played with Waluigi, he kept trying to go under a cliff, and I have no idea why.
Oh yeah, it's always fun to play with a computer as a partner.
But this game is kind of fun. Besides the flaws with the wind and having to kind of predict it, it is fun to race the other team. It gets really tense when you're both really close to the top and then somebody gets pulled down by the wind and it's really anybody's game.
Yeah, I think that happened to us once when we were really close to the top. We just kept getting hit by gusts of wind, and all of a sudden the other team beat us even though they were behind us the entire time.
Yeah, so overall, you'll probably have a bit of fun with this game. Unfortunately, the flaws really hold it back a little bit, namely the fact that the wind is so hard to predict when you're the player in the lead, and also in the fact that if you're playing with the computer player on your team, they can be a little stupid at times. But it's still a race and it's really fun, especially when both teams are neck and neck. So we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Darts of Doom. I wonder if this will be anything like Balloon of Doom.
Stay tuned to find out.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Yes, I'm the winner!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're back for one of the deadliest minigames of all in today's Bowser minigame, Darts of Doom. What was once a harmless real-life minigame has turned scary thanks to Bowser. Each player has 3 darts that are all thrown at the same time at a spinning dartboard. The reticles for each of the darts will move on their own, so your main goal this time is just to throw them when they're at their highest point values. But to make matters worse, even the all-important bullseye, which is usually something players want to aim for, is made deadly. If anyone manages to throw a dart and hit the bullseye, the minigame immediately ends and that player loses. However, if nobody hits a bullseye, then the player who scored the least amount of points will lose and everyone else will be spared from Bowser's wrath. For now. Now let's find out if the minigame is any fun to play or if it's just another bit of added doom.
The fact that you wanted to try and avoid hitting the bullseye on this one was kind of a creative idea for this minigame. I feel like you never see that for dart games.
Yeah, it was an interesting take on it. I personally found it kind of rewarding to try and aim my darts at just the right place. You have to kind of compromise between good positions and knowing that you don't have much time left on the clock. You can risk it and try and wait for a better position, but you also might run out of time.
That being said, it's pretty hard to know the point values though. It doesn't really show it until they do a close-up of where your darts landed, so you don't really know what your score is going to be ahead of time.
Yeah, to be honest, I just kind of wait until all of the reticles are hitting the dartboard. At least then I know I'll get some points.
Yeah, as long as you avoid the bullseye then.
Of course.
I do wish you had more control over where they were going though. I kind of just felt like I wasn't really doing anything. I was just waiting for a good lineup and pressing A and hoping I got a good score.
Yeah, honestly, the setup to play this minigame is longer than actually playing it. Bowser goes through a whole long section of talking, and if you choose to read the rules, it's even longer. Playing the actual minigame takes maybe 30 seconds for all the players to get through it.
Yeah, maybe if there were rounds or something and you were eliminated at the end if your score was really low, that might make it more rewarding to play, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so overall, this definitely isn't a great one. It's kind of fun to try and aim your darts since they're all moving at the same time. That's not something you usually see on dart minigames. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of action in this one. The setup to the minigame takes longer than actually playing it, and if somebody happens to hit a bullseye, the game can be over before you even get a chance to go. So while there is a tiny bit of fun to be had in this one, it's still not worth playing. We're giving it 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Less than 10% of you are subscribed. What are you doing? If you're watching, please hit that subscribe button. Next up, we'll be reviewing Domination.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of dog.
I think you're thinking of Dalmatians, not domination. But guess you'll have to come back to watch our video to see what this one's all about. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Things are getting serious in the Mushroom Kingdom today because we're about to build our very own armies in this free-for-all minigame, Domination. But how do you build an army, you ask? It's simple, really. You just hit the A button. The more you hit it, the more whomps you make. And what's the most efficient way to hit a button? Well, that's simple. You just, oh no, mash a button. Yep, that's right. It's a button masher. You have 10 seconds to hit the A button as many times as you can, and whoever does it the most before time runs out will win. I'm afraid to do this, but let's dive in and see if it's any good.
Oh, I'm so glad we get to play another button masher.
You might be the only one.
Yeah, I'm definitely just joking. This one has pretty much no depth to it. You're literally just hitting the A button as many times as you can. They can make this minigame by making the timer be the only thing seen on the screen and then just popping up a number at the end showing how many times you hit the button, and it would be exactly the same as it is now.
I want to say it's a little bit rewarding because the whomps pop up on the screen, but even then, they just fill up the screen and that's it. You keep making them, but you don't see how many you're making until the end. They could have done it with a different perspective to see how many whomps you're making the entire time, and maybe that would have made it more rewarding instead of just seeing it at the end, but they didn't. So you don't even get that satisfaction.
Yeah, the only time something happens on the screen is for the first second of the countdown until the whomps are off screen.
And that pretty much sums up this minigame.
Pretty much. Overall, this isn't a very good one. It's another button masher and there's no depth or strategy to this one. Just hit the button. I suppose there can be some satisfaction in seeing all the whomps falling down and finding out that you made the most, but it's really not enough to make this game any fun. They make these over and over in all the Mario Party games and they're all exactly the same. There's no way we're going to be able to score this anything other than 1 star out of 5.
Well, that's it for today, thank goodness. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Our next review will be of Doors of Doom. Wait, I'm sensing a pattern here. Balloon of Doom, Darts of Doom, Doors of Doom. There's a lot of Doom.
That's Mario Party. If you want to watch us play that one, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Yes, I'm the winner.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Have you ever had a bad dream you were trapped inside of someplace with no way to escape? Well, get ready to play your worst nightmare in today's extra room minigame, Doors of Doom. You find yourself in a series of unending rooms, each with 2 doors. One door will lead you to the next room while the other has Bowser behind it. Run into him and you're finished. How many doors will you get through without losing?
The answer is not very many. There were so many times we played this and I don't even think we made it through the first door.
Yeah, holy cow. It was really rough playing this one for footage. I feel bad you guys are even watching this because you're just going to see the same thing over and over in this one.
You have a 50-50 chance of getting through the door, but more often than not, you won't. And then you have to start all over again. I think we only had 2 games where we made it through more than 1 door.
Yeah, the most I ever got through was 2 doors before losing, and you had one really lucky run of 5 doors somehow, which was honestly impressive, but other than that, it was a pretty short minigame.
Yeah, it really was. It's not even a battle minigame, so you really have no reason to play it since it's in the extra room.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it was a battle minigame, at least there'd be some fun in randomly going through the doorways. But the way they present it here, you're only going for a high score for yourself, which just doesn't really give you much of a reason to want to play this.
Do you guys feel differently? Let us know in the comments below if you're able to get through more of the doors than we were.
The only halfway decent thing I can say about this one is that after the minigame is over, it does the same thing some other extra room minigames do, like Barrel Baron, where it'll give you a stupid little nickname depending on how well you did. Like if you don't get through any doors, it calls you the hapless hero. Another funny one was Ding Dong Ditcher if you get through 1 door. If you get through 5 doors, which was our max, it calls you a deft door dandy, which I don't really know what that is, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I guess that is a nice touch.
But overall, it's really not enough to save this one. It's a completely random minigame with not much reason to keep playing it. There's no really reward at the end. You're just playing to top your own high score. But playing a random minigame doesn't really work well as a high score minigame because you can't keep doing better every time. It's just up to luck. Luck minigames have their place. Bowser's Bigger Blast is a great minigame, but it's just done wrong here, and there's really nothing to save this one. So unfortunately, we're giving it 1 star out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Dungeon Duos. Dungeon Duos? Do you think that's what they call Bowser and Baby Bowser? They seem like they belong in a dungeon.
Well, that's for sure. If you want to see what the minigame's like, join us next time.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. If you've ever explored a dungeon, the first rule is to never go in alone. That's why I'm so happy that today's 2 vs 2 minigame, Dungeon Duos, makes sure to follow this rule so well. Surely it'll raise the popularity of dungeon diving, so it's good to know that they're spreading the rules in a responsible manner. Dungeon Duos has each team of explorers trying to reach the end first. To do this, you'll have to work together to lower doors for your teammate, using switches to swing platforms across endless pits, and even blow up a hot air balloon to make your final escape. Whichever team heads off into the sky first will win.
Well, this one was a lot of fun. I was kind of surprised with this one going in.
Me too, because there is some button mashing involved. So my hopes weren't very high.
That's true, it does start off with some button mashing. Your first task is to mash the button to open up the door for the other player so that they can cross through it. But really, it was done pretty sparingly, so I'm giving it a pass.
Yeah, it really wasn't bad. My complaint wasn't that it's a button masher in that aspect, but just that part got pretty repetitive.
Yeah, there was probably a few too many doors to try and get through. It just kind of makes you want to get to the next part of the action.
I think my favorite part about it was going through all the green pipes. I thought that was kind of a unique thing to do in a minigame, to try and figure out which one's the right one to get out of there.
Yeah, it was fun jumping through all of them to find the right random pipe to get through. And they also randomize it for both sides, so you can't just watch what pipe the team in the lead goes through and copy them. You've got to find your own pipe.
Yeah, I really liked that. This was a nice change of pace for a minigame. It was pretty unique, too.
I will say that I felt like the controls were maybe a little finicky, though. Having to jump on the little rotating platforms in the middle of the stage could be a little tough. We definitely fell into the pit more than once.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's really just another minor complaint. Overall, this is a pretty fun one. There's a good variety of stuff to do in the stage, and it's always nice to have that competitive feeling because you're racing the other team. It also lasts longer than a normal minigame too, which is kinda nice. You might not like every element in this minigame. For instance, the button mashing's kind of annoying, and the controls can be a little finicky. But luckily there's enough variety in this one where those flaws don't hold it back all that much. So we're giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've made it out of the dungeon, and now we're heading to the final battle for our next review.
Oh, I see what you did there. The minigame's called the Final Battle.
Yeah!
Wow, that's pretty high stakes. Can't wait to see what it's like.
Hope we make it out alive.
If you want to see how we do, join us next time.
Hope to see you then.
Oh, I lost.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We've got a special minigame for you today. We're playing the Final Battle. To play this one, you'll have to become the superstar on every Mario Party board. Do this and you'll enter the minigame, which sees you chasing down Bowser and attempting to defeat him. Your path will take you across several sides of the lava-filled cube, and you'll have to accomplish several different things to win. Good luck!
I really liked that this final battle had several challenges before getting to the actual battle. It made it pretty unique and fun to play.
Yeah, it really did. The first one has you jumping across a few little platforms with fire spinning around them. so it's really a lot like playing Mario.
The next one has you rearranging the squares to make a puzzle while trying to avoid getting hit. I don't think I've ever seen that in a final battle before, but that was really unique.
Yeah, it was cool. The next two sides of the cube are basically you just doing the same thing again, but with more difficulty. You'll have to jump across several platforms again, but this time there's even more of them to jump across. And then after that, you have to do another sliding puzzle, but it has more pieces this time. I do like that the challenge was upped the further you went along into this, but it would have been cool if each side of the cube had a different challenge for you, just to give you some more variety.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I wish they did do that. One thing I did like though is that you have a heart meter on the left-hand side. So if you're going through the challenges and if you accidentally get hit by something, you don't have to die and start all over again. You just kind of get stunned for a second and lose a heart and get to keep going. I really liked that.
Yeah, the only thing that kills you immediately is falling into the lava. But other than that, it's nice knowing that if you jump across to another platform and accidentally hit the fire, it's not an immediate game over. The final side is where you'll finally face up against Bowser. Along the outside of the platform are several buttons, and your goal is to jump on 3 of them to form a triangle. If Bowser's inside of this triangle, he'll get shocked and have one of his health points taken away, so you have to do this 5 times to beat him. I would say it was definitely decently challenging. It was kind of a unique final boss battle.
Yeah, I agree, especially because I feel like most of the time for boss battles, you only have to do it 3 times. So the fact that you have to go for 5 added another challenge.
Yeah, it really did. The one thing that annoyed me most about this was actually how finicky it could sometimes be to jump on the buttons. They're right on the edge of the platform, and there was times when I would try to jump on the button and go a little too far and fall off and immediately die. It never felt like it was my fault. It felt like the game's controls were just slightly lacking.
Or sometimes when you're trying to ground pound the button, Bowser ends up walking close to you and you can't really get away from him because you're already on the button, and then you die. That felt kind of weird because there's nothing really else you can do.
Yeah, it's definitely a little annoying.
Maybe they should have built in an attack for Mario or something, or a way for him to dodge Bowser if he got too close when he was on the button.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But overall, it's still a pretty fun minigame. It's got a good mix of platforming challenges and also some puzzle challenges, and a really cool final boss battle. It's also nice that you have a health meter as well. Sure, the controls could be a little tighter, but they don't break the game, so we're still giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Fish and Drips.
Ooh, it's making me hungry just thinking about it.
Fish and Drips, not fish and chips.
Ah, dang. Well, I'm still hungry. If you want to watch us play through this minigame, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. By this point, we all know that Mario Party is a big fan of using puns for their minigame titles, but some of them just don't work and come off feeling way too forced. Today's minigame is one of those. It's the 1 vs 3 minigame, Fish and Drips. Both sides are trying to fill up a giant plastic Cheep Cheep with water before the other side does. If you're the single player, you'll have to hit a random combination of 6 buttons to get a squirt of water in. If you're on the team, each team member will have to hit 1 random button to get the water in. But let's be honest, the squirts of water you use to fill up the Cheep Cheep are anything but drips. Which makes me feel like whoever named this minigame was just searching for any water-related word to work for this one. But that doesn't make it a good name, and it doesn't give me much hope for playing the actual minigame. But let's keep an open mind and see how this minigame is.
Well, contrary to the kind of dumb name this one has, it's not that bad to play.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I like all these minigames where you just kind of have to push a combination of buttons. It's really rewarding to see how fast you can go without making a mistake.
Yeah, and it's much better than the alternative of mashing the button.
True. You do have to be careful not to go too fast though and make a mistake if you're the single player, because if you do, you'll have to start all over.
Oh yeah, that tripped me up a couple times. But I really did enjoy that because it made it more challenging for the single player. Working on the team, there's a little bit of a pause between each player while they figure out what button to press, so you end up being a little bit slower. So I think the single player really needed something to make them slow down.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems way faster to win this one if you're the single player. It's not impossible for the team to win, but it definitely does advantage the single player.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a little bit more fun to play as a single player. I feel like 1 versus 3 minigames always have one side that's a little bit more fun, and for this one, it's the single player.
Yeah, if you're on the team, you're just hitting one button, which is fun because you want to get done fast, but it's not as rewarding as going through a whole combination of buttons. So overall, this is a pretty good minigame with a pretty bad name. Pushing all the buttons in the right order is really rewarding, but if you're on the team, you don't quite get that sense of satisfaction since you're only hitting one. But it's still a race and it still stays intense, so you'll probably have a good time with this one. I know we did. So we're giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Fruits of Doom. I feel like at this point it's pretty safe to assume Bowser's involved.
He always is. If you want to see what he's up to in this minigame, watch our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Well, we're back today to play our third and last Bowser minigame in Mario Party 4, Fruits of Doom. To be honest, I'm kind of relieved that this is it. The 2 we played already both really sucked. Balloon of Doom got 1 star from us and Darts of Doom was marginally better with 2 stars. But hey, maybe the first 2 were just warm-ups for the designers. It's possible Fruits of Doom might be the magnum opus of Bowser minigames. When the minigame starts, Bowser decides he wants everyone to feed him fruits, but he only wants certain fruits and certain amounts of them. He begins to list the ones he wants off, but unfortunately for you, most of the list scrolls by way too fast to read. When the gameplay starts, each player takes turns grabbing one fruit they think Bowser wants and presenting it to him. The first person to feed him the wrong thing will lose and the minigame will be over. Now let's dive in and hope this one is better than the rest.
It wasn't. It really wasn't.
No, if anything, this was my least favorite out of all of them, and that's saying something.
Yeah, mine too. The fact that the list of fruit goes by so fast pretty much means the first 2 players are the only ones that are gonna get it correct.
Yeah, you can see the first few names on the list, but after that, it's not even that it's just a challenge to read them. They're literally just scrolling too fast to read. It's not fun when you're honestly just guessing on what fruit to give him. There should have been some way for you to keep up with it.
Yeah, that, and there's so many fruit, so the possibility of guessing correctly is so low. You don't even have a random chance at this one.
Yeah, that's what really breaks it. They're basically giving you no chance to win, and it's not even in a good random minigame type of way. The doom is high with this minigame.
There's some major flaws with the gameplay, but also it's just not even fun even if it was done correctly. Like all you're doing is grabbing a piece of fruit and bringing it to him.
Yeah, I know. Even if they fixed all the other flaws, this still wouldn't be a great minigame. And it also takes forever to play. They could have improved it by just having you select the fruit with a cursor, but instead you have to walk over to the fruit, grab the one you want, bring it over to Bowser, wait for him to eat it, and then find out if you're dead or not. It just goes on and you're having no fun with it.
Unfortunately, that's really true.
So overall, there's not really any redeeming qualities to this minigame. It's not fun to play, it's pretty much impossible to win, and it takes forever to get through. By the end of this one, you'll just be wishing for it to be over. So we're giving this one 1 star out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Goomba Stomp. Is Goomba doing the stomping, or is Goomba getting stomped?
You know, I really hope this minigame is about Goomba dancing. I'd pay to see that. But I guess we'll have to find out next time.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Nothing feels better than jumping on a harmless, helpless Goomba. Mario's been doing it for years. But sometimes the urge to kill can't be satisfied by jumping on a Goomba or 2. Sometimes you need to kill a whole bunch of them at once. Enter Goomba Stomp, an extra room minigame. This one has you controlling what seems to be a homemade Goomba stomping machine. There's no winning to this one, just trying to top your previous killing score. But is it fun enough to keep you coming back for more, or will it make you want to cut the Goombas a break and play another minigame instead? Let's find out.
This minigame seems like it might be fun in theory, but in execution, it's only okay, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. The controls on this minigame take a little bit of time to get used to. And once you do, it's a little bit more fun, but that learning part is kind of weird. I kind of felt like I was trying to park a car or something. I kept going forward and then reversing, and then I just didn't really know what to do.
Yeah, same with me. It's really hard to control, and I guess I understand why they would do that so that you weren't just killing tons and tons of Goombas, but it doesn't really make the minigame feel as rewarding as it could. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if it was really easy to control and you just racked up, hundreds of Goomba kills.
Yeah, I feel like that might be more fun. I mean, they definitely tried to do the controls in a way where it made it more challenging and made you slow down so you couldn't kill a lot. But if you could go fast and kill as many as possible, I think that would be more rewarding.
That's not to say that it's not satisfying to kill the Goombas, because it is. Especially when you beat your high score. It feels really good knowing how many you hit. I just think it could be better.
Yeah, I agree.
And overall, that's really all there is to say about this one. It is fun to hit the Goombas and control this big machine that is basically built just to kill them, but it could be done better. The controls are pretty wonky, and although I understand why they made it that way, I still feel like it might be better with really good controls. You won't hate this one though, so we're giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Goomba's Chip Flip. And you thought we killed all the Goombas.
If you want to see what this one's like, join us for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! New record!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're back with another Goomba-themed minigame today with the story minigame Goomba's Chip Flip. And no, you're not flipping the food around, although I would have loved that. Instead, you're presented with a board of casino chips, each with a different value on them. Some make you lose points, and some give you points. You and your opponent take turns flipping over the chips and trying to get the most points. Whichever one of you is lucky enough to make it to 50 points first wins. Use your winnings to go buy yourself a bag of chips.
Gosh, okay, so this minigame is completely random. At the beginning, you think maybe this will be a strategy minigame because you watch all of the chips flip over, so you think, okay, I'm gonna have to keep track of them and know which ones have the highest points to flip over. Wrong. It's just random.
Yeah, I think that in itself makes this kind of unrewarding to play. Like you said, if it started with you seeing all the chips and then them being shuffled around in some sort, I feel like that would be much better to play, because at least then it's about strategy and memory. But the way it is now, whoever wins just did it by luck, so there's not much to it.
I know, I completely agree. We like our random minigames, but this one just wasn't done right. It's really long and not very rewarding.
Yeah, it's really a shame because it seems so obvious the ways you can make this better. I'm not sure why they went with this approach. And overall, there's not much more to say about it other than that. This game is all about competition, but since it's just random chance who wins, you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of this. If they had made it about strategy and memory skills by showing you the chips and then shuffling them around so you had to remember them, I honestly think this might be pretty fun. But as it is, it's heavily flawed and you won't like it too much. We're giving it 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We're really trying to grow our channel, so if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. It really helps. Next up, we'll be reviewing Goal!
If you want to see
Goal!
I can't imagine you're going to want to watch our next video, but if you do,
Goal!
come back to watch it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Oh, I love!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Today we're playing the intensely named 1 vs 3 minigame, Goal! Don't forget to pronounce both of the exclamation points at the end of this one. And take notice to how there's not 1, but 7 O's in the word as well. That's because in this soccer-based minigame, you get 10 balls to kick. Wait, that doesn't match up. I don't know why they decided on 7 O's. I guess it was just the right amount. But anyway, like I said, this is a soccer minigame, with 3 players trying to kick the balls into the goal and 1 player trying to block them. If the team is able to get 10 goals before time is up, they win. Otherwise, the single player does. Get kicking!
Well, I think this was another example of a 1 versus 3 game where one side is a lot more fun to play than the other. This might have just been me, but I really enjoyed being the goalie, but I didn't really enjoy kicking the balls as much.
Honestly, I didn't really enjoy either.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
I mean, it was fine on either side, but I didn't have a preference, and I didn't think either one was super fun.
I thought being the goalie was fun just because it was so rewarding to block all the balls. You have a really cool dive move you can use, and there were so many times when I would dive and block all 3 balls from getting in the goal, and it just felt great.
Well, that's probably why I didn't like it as much as you. I thought it was kind of tricky to get the dive mechanism right and to block all 3. I don't know, maybe my hand-eye coordination just wasn't that good though.
Well, speaking of hand-eye coordination, I feel like it was really hard to kind of judge where you were going to kick the ball. I feel like the reason I didn't really enjoy playing on the team as much is because the ball never seemed to go where I wanted it to. But that might just be because I'm not a good player. I don't know.
See, I didn't really have that much trouble kicking the ball, but I did notice it hit the top of the goal more than I wanted it to. Either way, I didn't find either side super rewarding.
I don't think it was a horrible minigame though.
Oh no, it was fun, it was fine, but it just wasn't one that I would want to play when it popped up.
So overall, this is an okay minigame, but not one of the best ones. I think I enjoyed it more than Sarah did, but I didn't love it either. To me, it was really fun to play as the goalie and really rewarding as well, but the team less so, and that was mostly because the controls were just a little hard to get used to. But there's no serious flaws in this one, and there is some satisfaction to be found, so we're giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing The Great Deflate.
I don't know, something tells me this one's not going to be that great.
Guess you'll have to come back to find out. Hope to see you then.
Finish! Yeah, I'm doing
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Some people have referred to the Mario Party series as The Great Deflate, alluding to its many cheaper, annoying minigames that make you deflated to play them. I don't agree with that nickname, but nonetheless, we're here today to play the 2 vs 2 minigame, The Great Deflate. This one has each team trying to deflate their inflatable thwomp before the other team by ground pounding on it. And if you time your ground pounds with your partner just right so that you both land at the same time, even more air will be pushed out. Whichever team fully deflates their thwomp first will win the minigame.
Having to time your ground pounds with your partner gives this minigame a little bit of strategy, but not much. It's mostly a button masher.
Yeah, and let's be honest, we did just fine without timing out our jumps together. Sure, that might change if you're playing against 2 other human players, but at least when you're playing against computer players, you can pretty much just do your own thing and win pretty easily.
Yeah, that's true. We tried to time our jumps a little bit, but the more we played, the more we didn't even bother doing that. There's just not a lot of depth.
Nah, there's really not. You know exactly what you're getting into here. There's no little hidden secrets or things that really make it fun. It is what it is.
I think maybe this minigame would have been better if it required you to time your jumps with your partner. Maybe if you didn't, you would have been stunned for a second, and then you wouldn't have been able to deflate it until you timed the jump with your partner. I'm not sure, but this minigame really wasn't that great.
Yeah, really my only takeaway for this one was that I wish I had a giant inflatable thwomp in real life. Maybe someday. But overall, like we've said, this one's not as great as the name implies. There can be a little strategy with you having to time out your jumps with your partner to get maximum air, but beyond that, this is more or less just a glorified button masher, and there's not really a whole lot of other things to say about it other than that. Yeah, we've played a few that are worse than this one, but this is towards the low end of the pack, so we're giving it 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be playing Hide and Go Boom. Think we'll be playing Hide and Go Seek with a bunch of bombs?
There's a decent chance. If you want to find out, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Yeah, I'm the winner. Yeah!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're going to hide and blow up in today's 1 vs 3 minigame, Hide and Go Boom! The players on the team each choose a cannon to hide in by selecting the corresponding letter. Once everyone is all cozy and nestled into their cannons, the single player has 3 chances to find them all and blow them all into the afterlife. If they manage to find everyone, they win. But if a single player on the team stays hidden, they'll win. Now let's find out if this one is explosively fun or ends up being a dud.
I actually liked this one.
Me too.
As a lot of our viewers know, we're really into these kind of random chance mini games when they're done correctly, and I think this one was done pretty well.
Yeah, I think it was too. I think one part about this minigame that makes it intense is you don't know what cannon the other players on your team are jumping into. So, on accident, you might all jump into the same one, but maybe that ends up working for you.
Yeah, you never know. It also makes it really intense when you're just sitting in the cannon hoping that the single player doesn't come and find you. I think you need that element in a random mini game like this.
Definitely. When I was playing as a single player, I always tried to think, okay, where did the players hide last time? Should I use the same buttons they did, or are they mixing it up on me?
Yeah, I think the strategy here comes from sort of metagaming the play and trying to figure out what the other players are thinking in their heads. You can't do that as much if you're playing against computer players, but if you get a group of friends together, this one could be really fun.
This one also reminds me of the Mario Party 3 minigame, Hide and Sneak. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, this one is just kind of a reskin of that one. You're just choosing a place to hide and then hoping the single player doesn't find you. I think something about it here was done better though.
Yeah, me too. I'm not quite sure why though, but if you enjoyed that minigame at all, you'll definitely enjoy this one.
So overall, this is a pretty solid random chance minigame. There's a nice sense of intensity as you're in the cannon and waiting to see if the single player is going to find you or not. And there's also a decent amount of strategy involved if you try and metagame it and get in the other players' heads. Sure, there's not a ton of gameplay involved in this one. If you're on the team, you're really just hitting one button and then waiting to see the results. But that doesn't mean it's not exciting, so we're still giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. If you've been following along for our videos so far, then you've made it. We're halfway through Mario Party 4. It seems like it's going by really fast, but so far, I think these could be some of my favorite minigames.
Yeah, they have been pretty solid so far.
Well, next up, we'll be reviewing Hopper Pop.
You know, this one's called Hopper Soda depending on what region you live in. Nah, I'm just kidding. It probably has nothing to do with Pop. If you want to see what it's like, come back for our next video. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're officially in the back half of Mario Party 4 minigames now with a 1 vs 3 Hopper Pop. This one sees 3 players bouncing around on balls trying to get away from the single player who is trying to pop them. If the single player pops all 3 of the players, they win. If not, the team wins. Now let's get popping.
Well, I didn't find the hops or the pops very satisfying in this one.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but I really didn't either. I guess if I had to choose one, I would say that the popping is more fun, but only barely.
What made this minigame a little annoying to play is how slowly both sides move. It's like you're in molasses or something. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, they must have done it that way just so that the game didn't end immediately. If everyone was moving really fast, sure, the team would have more of a chance to get away, but the single player would also catch them faster as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was really easy for the single player to win every time. I think it was almost unfair to the team because they didn't really have a chance.
Yeah, this is one of those 1 vs 3 minigames that's really skewed towards the single player again. The biggest strategy that the team players have in their favor is that the more times you hop, the higher you'll bounce, so you can get more distance in. But unfortunately, this only builds up for, I think, 3 bounces, and then after that you go back to your really tiny small bounce again.
Yeah, that was frustrating too.
If they had made it so that you can just keep on bouncing super high as many times as you could until you messed up your button presses, that would have been a lot more fun. It would have made it really rewarding to play, and it also would have given you a better chance to get away from the single player.
And it would have made the single player part a little bit more challenging too. They should have done that. They really messed up on this one. The strategy for the single player really is just to anticipate where the team's gonna move. If you can kind of guess where they're headed, then you can easily pop them. And they move so slowly, it's pretty easy to anticipate it.
Yeah, the single player also moves slow, but you can't really choose your direction on the team when you're bouncing, so it's really easy to figure out where they're about to go next.
Well, what did you guys think? let us know in the comments below if you think that this minigame moves way too slowly.
Overall, we don't think this one's that good at all. It's held back by several issues, most of which come down to the controls being really annoying and also very slow. It's also really skewed towards a single player, so if you're on the team, good luck. We wish this game was better, but unfortunately we're giving it 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Jigsaw Jitters.
If you've never played this minigame before, see if you can puzzle together what you think we're about to play, and join us next time to find out.
Hope to see you then.
Yes, I'm the winner.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Have you ever gone into withdrawals after not doing a jigsaw puzzle for a long time and gotten all jittery? I sure have. If you're addicted to puzzles, then this minigame is for you. It's the extra room minigame, Jigsaw Jitters, and it's exactly what you think it is, a group of puzzles to put together. You have your choice between 20, 30, or 40 pieces, and while there's no winning or losing, you can always try to beat your quickest time if you still need a fix. Now let's see how it is.
Yeah, like you said, you know exactly what you're getting here. You're just putting together puzzles. There's no sort of Mario Party twist to this one or anything like that, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you want to change from regular Mario Party and just relax with a puzzle, this is perfect for you.
I agree. I really liked it. One thing to note is as the puzzles get bigger and more difficult, I felt like when the pieces popped up onto the screen, more often than not you would have to rotate them, which I feel like I didn't notice too much in the 20-piece puzzle.
Yeah, I'm sure they made that a little more difficult.
So not only do you get more pieces, but you also get more of a challenge.
Another cool thing about this one is the fact that it saves your fastest time.
Yeah, there's definitely replayability with this when you want to beat your time.
Yeah, for sure, and that's probably good because there's only 3 puzzles to do. There's one for each amount of puzzle pieces. That's not really a lot, but if you just come to them occasionally trying to beat your high score, it can be a good distraction.
Yeah, I think my only qualm with this one is I would have liked to see more puzzles.
Yeah, pretty much. But overall, it's still a really fun minigame. There's no Mario Party twist to it like there normally is for minigames, but I think that works for this one because it's more of a little side thing that you can just play occasionally. There's not the largest variety of puzzles, but the fact that you can keep trying to better your time completing them does lend to the replayability. So we're giving this one 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Careening Koopas. If you're not sure what that means, neither am I, so you'll have to come back to play with us. Hope to see you then.
Finish! New record!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. What do you get when you mix Tipsy Tourney, some Koopa shells, and a bunch of holes? You get today's story minigame, Careening Koopas. This one has you and an opponent facing off to get your Koopa shells to fill the holes as quick as possible. To do this, you tilt your board whichever way you need to. It's as simple as that. The first to 3 points wins. Now, let's see if this minigame is any fun to play or if it careens off course as another bad one.
I had a lot of fun playing this minigame.
Yeah, so did I. I'm kind of sad that it's hidden as just a story minigame that you'll barely play in a regular game of Mario Party, because it's a lot of fun. If they made this a free-for-all minigame, it would be great.
I know, I really wish they did. The one thing I have to say about this minigame was that you were too good at it. I don't think I won a single time, but that didn't stop me from enjoying it and wanting to keep playing it.
Yeah, I did have a knack for this one. I think the thing that really helped me is deciding just to go slow and tilt the board just a little bit so that the Koopa shells could slowly fall into the holes. It might be your instinct to fully tilt the board to get the Koopa shells to go faster, but then they end up bumping across the hole and not falling in.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. There were so many times where I just had one shell left and I couldn't manage to get into the hole because I was tilting it too wildly, and you were over there just gently tilting and winning every time. So definitely take that strategy to heart.
But you did get pretty close. You're right, it did come down to just that last shell multiple times. Another cool thing about this one is that the position of the holes changes every time you play, which adds a nice bit of variety. You can't just memorize where they are. Every time it's a new challenge.
Yeah, I really liked that. That way you can't just come up with okay, I'm gonna bounce it off here and get it in each time, because it was different.
Yeah, for sure. So overall, I think we both really like this one a lot. Even though I don't think you ever won a round that we played, you still kept wanting to play more and more, which doesn't always happen when we're filming these mini games.
I think you need to rephrase that. It almost never happens when we play these mini games.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. But because the concept is so fun, and the courses are always changing the placement of the holes, and the fact that it's just a really great competitive minigame, means we're giving this one 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Well, thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Long Claw of the Law. Well, that's a long claw of a title.
Yeah, it is. Well, come back to play it with us.
Hope to see you then.
I'm the winner.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to take down some criminals in the most Mario Party way possible with today's free-for-all minigame, Long Claw of the Law. The minigame opens by showing a wanted poster of a certain enemy character. Once the game begins, each player has to find 3 of the enemies and drag them to justice with their claw. The first player to nab 3 of the enemies will win the minigame and sleep knowing they made the Mushroom Kingdom a safer place.
Well, this was a pretty good one. I feel like it kind of surprised me because it's not a minigame I really remember or hear talked about a lot, but it was a lot of fun.
I thought it was a lot of fun too. When we first started playing it, I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna like this one. I can just tell already, but it did surprise me.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple concept, but there are different ways to go about this strategically. Some people might constantly keep moving until they finally see an enemy in an open window, whereas others might wait until the window's open before moving on so that they could see if the enemies are there or not. They never change places, so if you don't see them in the 2 windows that are open right in front of you, you know you never have to go back there to find them.
What strategy worked well for you?
I feel like I just tended to wait until the windows open so that I could see if they were there or not. It might feel like you're not going fast enough, but the fact that you can check off these windows and never have to come back to them seems like it was faster for me in the long run.
That's what I found too. At first I didn't do that and I just kept going until I got an open window. But then I got confused on which one I had seen and which ones I hadn't. So I found that waiting definitely helps me.
And every second counts in this one. A lot of times we played this one, it came down to a half a second difference between us each winning. There were times when both of us would have our claws extended and miss it by barely anything.
Yeah, because it doesn't count when you grab the enemy. You have to drop them with your claw. So there were times where I thought I was for sure gonna win because I was grabbing my last one, but someone else had done it just a second faster than me. It made this one pretty competitive.
Yeah, it did. So overall, we both enjoyed this one a lot. There's different ways to strategically go about playing this one depending on what kind of play style you prefer, and the fact that it's so competitive also makes it really fun to play. It doesn't have the most gameplay to it, really you're just hitting A when you find the right character, but the way it's executed is really great, so we're still giving this one 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Making Waves. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not making waves, it's making waves.
Yeah, Mario Party minigames like to be really precise with their naming schemes. If you want to see what this one's about, come back to watch it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. There's really 2 kinds of people in the world, those that go with the flow, and those that do things differently and make waves. We all know that the Mario Party developers aren't afraid to make waves, and that's never been more apparent than in today's 1 vs 3 minigame, Making Waves. No, in all honesty, this is a pretty basic minigame in concept. One player is on a platform in the middle of the water trying not to fall in, as the other players around them ground pound to create waves. If the team of players create enough waves to knock the single player into the water, they win. Now let's see if this minigame is making waves for all the right reasons or all the wrong ones.
This minigame is another example of when it's more fun to play as a single player than on the team of 3.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like maybe it was because it was a little more action-packed for the single player. You're constantly having to readjust your position to make sure that you don't fall in the water, and it can be really fun to do that, especially when a bunch of big waves are coming for you and you manage to survive all of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on the team of 3, you're just ground pounding to make waves. There's a little strategy, but it's definitely not as action-packed.
No, it's not. I think the best strategy we found for the team was for everyone to join up together on one side and then time your jumps differently so that there's a constant flow of waves being made. It seemed like that was a good way to get the middle player to fall over into the water. The more waves there were, the more it would tilt, it seemed like.
Yeah, and when everyone was close together, it seemed that the waves were a lot bigger on one side, which made it harder for the single player to stay on.
Yeah, it did, but I'm sure there's other good strategies for this one too. But overall, it's not the worst minigame we've ever played. It's definitely a lot more fun for the single player, but strategizing with your teammates does improve this one some if you're on the team. It's definitely not as rewarding to play as being the single player and staying on the raft through all the action, but it has its moments, so we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And leave a comment below to let us know if you agree with us on this minigame, or maybe you had more fun on the team. Next up, we'll be reviewing manta rings.
Well, they're no onion rings, but I guess manta rings are still okay.
Onion rings sound good.
Yeah, we better go make some. But come back next time to play manta rings with us.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Up today is the free-for-all minigame, Manta Rings. This one has everyone trailing a manta and trying to get through as many bubble rings as they can. Honestly, I'm pretty sure the bubble rings are just manta toots though, but we won't talk about that. We'll just focus on the game. The white rings are worth 1 point and the gold ones are worth 3, so make sure not to miss them. Whoever ends the minigame with the most points wins.
I have some mixed feelings about this one. I didn't not enjoy playing it, but I guess I just don't feel like it was great.
Honestly, I thought going into this minigame I would hate it because I usually dislike water minigames because it's really hard to tell where you're going sometimes, but I kind of enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's how I'm feeling too. It kind of tricks you out at first by almost making you think it might be a button masher. If you want to swim faster, you do have to mash the A button, but it's not done in a horrible way. And really, you don't even have to do it if you don't want.
Yeah, there's some strategy in the speed you go. I noticed that you were always going pretty fast and pulling ahead to try and get the rings first, but I fell a little bit behind so then I could catch the rings others weren't grabbing. I'm not really sure if one was better than the other, but there's definitely different strategies to have for this one.
Yeah, it's my instinct to want to pull ahead so that I can take all the rings before anyone else gets them, but we both ended up winning multiple times, so I guess I don't really know that one was better than the other. I did kind of have a hard time knowing if I was actually going through the rings or not. Sometimes the camera angle made it look like I was going to go through one, but I would somehow miss it.
Yeah, same. There was definitely times that I thought I was for sure getting a ring, but for some reason I didn't. I'm not really sure why, and I was really annoyed when that happened with the gold ones.
Oh yeah, definitely. It wasn't an issue that always happened though, just occasionally.
Yeah, and there were times where I was right next to someone and I thought for sure they would get the ring, but then I got it, so I'm not even really sure how that worked. I think the camera angle does kind of trick you a little bit though.
Yeah, definitely. So overall, going into this one, I think we both thought it would be worse than it really was. It has some of the trappings of a button masher, but it's not done in a tedious way. And really, your strategy might not be to mash the button at all. You can still win without doing it, so that's nice. There are some issues with the camera angle and not really being able to tell if you're going through all the manta rings, but it doesn't break the minigame, so we're still giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing the the sweet songs of Mario Medley.
I always love a music minigame. Let's hope that's what this one is.
Guess you'll have to come back to find out. Hope to see you then.
I'm the winner.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. I'm not sure if I've said it before in any of these videos, but when I'm not punishing myself by playing Mario Party, I'm also a musician. So I was excited when I saw the name of today's free-for-all minigame was Mario Medley, a minigame that included a medley of some of Mario's iconic songs. Count me in. Unfortunately, my hopes were dashed when I saw what this minigame actually was. Mario Medley has each player taking 3 laps in a pool. To move, you have to hit different combinations of buttons for each lap. First, you hit A and B together. Next, you'll alternate hitting the L and R buttons. And then last, you'll alternate hitting B and A. And also keep an eye out on the heart meter at the top. If you run out of energy, you'll stop until some of it refills. Whoever completes all 3 laps first will win. Now, let's see if it can capture any of the magic my imagined version of Mario Medley had.
Honestly, the Mario Medley version you had imagined would have been much better than this. I would have taken a music game over this one.
Yeah, same. At its heart, this one's really just a button masher. Although I will say I do prefer this to most other button mashers we play. I feel like there's a little more to it.
Yeah, there definitely was. Having that heart meter makes it so there's more strategy than just button mashing, and there's a combination of buttons you have to mash, so it's a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, I think the best part of that heart meter is that it gives you a reason not to just have to mash on the buttons as fast as you can. Instead of hurting your hand by hitting the button as many times as you can before time runs out, you really just have to do it slow and steady, which is a nice change of pace for these types of minigames.
Yeah, it is, and it made it a little challenging. I have to say, hitting the A and B button together at the same time was actually kind of difficult for me. I feel like I was never doing it quite right.
Yeah, I think you definitely need to use just one thumb to hit both buttons. At first I had noticed you were hitting both buttons with each of your thumbs, but I think getting the timing just right on that is a little too difficult for this one. You really have to hit them at just the same moment.
Yeah, I agree.
This one was a fun race though. I feel like as far as button mashers go, this was one of the better ones.
Yeah, we had a couple of close games that made it a little intense, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that always makes things more exciting. So overall, I wouldn't get excited about playing this one, but you won't have the worst time. You'll go into it afraid that you're playing another button masher, but as far as button mashers go, it's kind of done right. The heart meter ensures that you don't have to hurt yourself by hitting the button really fast, and it also gives you a little more strategy since you have to kind of conserve your heart energy. It's cool that there's different combinations of buttons to hit too. It helps keep it a little bit more fresh. But still, it doesn't reach the heights of some of Mario Party's great minigames, so we're only giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. But seriously, if you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Less than 10% of you are subscribed. Next up, we'll be reviewing Mario Speedwagons.
So basically just Mario Kart.
I think this is the first draft of the name.
I almost like it better.
Guess we'll have to see if it's any good.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Mario and the gang have upgraded their karts to full-on race cars in today's free-for-all minigame, Mario Speedwagons. Gone are the silly items and crazy hijinks featured in Mario Kart. Now it's all about shifting gears and a straight shot to the finish line. Your only controls are to accelerate and change gears, but it's harder than it sounds. If you begin to accelerate too early at the start of the race, you'll barely move. And likewise, changing gears too early or too late will cut your speed as well. Time things carefully and get yourself across the finish line first to win. Now let's find out if this drag race drags too much or not.
Oh, I didn't really like this one. I'd take Mario Kart over this any day of the week.
100%.
It's really just kind of frustrating because one small mistake and you're basically out of the game. There's no coming back later on and winning from behind. You're pretty much screwed as soon as you do something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the good news to that though is this minigame is super quick. So if you mess up, it'll be over before you know it.
That is true. At least you don't have to suffer too much. But it's really just kind of difficult to get all the timing right.
Yeah, you really need to get that boost in the beginning. Otherwise, you're probably not going to win.
Yeah, for sure. And if you begin to accelerate just a second too early, you'll start the race with basically no speed and never be able to make it up from there. So you might as well just stop playing.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true and happened too often to me.
Same. I mean, it's really rewarding when you do well and shift gears at just the right time and speed towards the finish line. But all too often, you'll make some mistake that you hardly even realize that you're making and just never be able to come back from it.
Yeah, and another thing about this minigame is it's not very intense, nor is it competitive. It doesn't even really feel like a race against the other players because you're more just trying to figure out the controls. So that part isn't even that fun either.
Yeah, and overall, that's really all there is to say about this one. The controls are incredibly precise, and some people might enjoy that challenge, but we just found it too difficult and too finicky. Even when we figured out the timing to accelerate and switch gears, it's still really hard to do consistently. And because it's so short, you barely even have time to realize that you're in a race. It's over before you know it. Plus, it's never good to make a minigame where you can screw yourself over right away at the beginning and never have a shot at coming back. So unfortunately, we're giving this one 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing money belts.
Man, I need to get me one of those.
I really prefer a money bracelet.
Well, come back to play it with us.
Hope to see you then.
I'm the winner.
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to tighten your waistband and strap in for today's 1 vs 3 minigame, Money Belts. No matter which side you're on, the goal is the same: collect as many coins as you can. You find yourself on a moving conveyor belt full of not only coins, but also obstacles to watch out for. If you get stuck behind something and fall off, you'll be out for a few seconds before coming back on the belt. There's no winning or losing in this one, just gaining coins. And although the single player does have an advantage by being closer to the new coins as they come out, the team all shares the same pot of coins, so if everyone works together, you can really maximize your winnings. Now let's see if the promise of free coins is enough to keep us coming back to play this one.
Who doesn't love a minigame that gives them coins? Also, it doesn't hurt that this one was fun to play.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And like you said, it's always kind of refreshing to get these coin mini games where the pressure's kind of off to win because you know at least you're gonna leave with something.
Yeah, it's nice to mix it up.
But I will say this one's definitely skewed towards the single player. They might be working alone, but because they're so much closer to the coins than the team is, it's way easier for them to leave with tons of coins.
Yeah, unfortunately, we never saw the team win. So that doesn't make it very fun for a minigame.
Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't ever really close either. I feel like the single player usually got at least 25 coins, while the team was down at 10, 15 coins at the end.
Yeah, that's true. One strategy I did find helpful when I was playing as a single player was to make sure I didn't try and get all the coins. It felt a little counterintuitive because you want to collect them all, but I noticed whenever I did that, more likely than not I would fall off and then I'd end up missing more coins than if I just left 1 or 2 coins alone.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of make some risky moves to go after a coin before losing it, but like you said, you're just as likely to fall off trying to get it, which will just hinder you. And on that same vein, I think there was definitely an issue while playing on the team. It felt like it was way easier to fall off. I think it was a combination of there being more players, so there was more things blocking your path, but also when somebody does fall off and then come back, they jump out of a box, and the box stays there on the money belt, so it's just another obstacle that you have to watch out for, and sometimes it's impossible to get around all the obstacles.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to fall off because you don't have another choice, which isn't that fun either.
So overall, we really did want to like this minigame. In concept, it's really fun, and playing it is also really fun. It's really rewarding to get all the coins, especially as a single player. But even though this is a really fun minigame, it has a few flaws that we can't look past because they're so major. The first one is how skewed it is towards a single player. If you're the single player playing this one, you're pretty much guaranteed to leave with a lot more coins than the team does. And along with that, if you're on the team, it's also really easy to fall off because of all the added obstacles on your part of the money belt. So while we really wanted to give this 4 stars, we decided that in light of the flaws, we couldn't give it any more than 3 stars out of 5. It's not bad, but it's not up there with the great ones.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Mr. Blizzard's Brigade. Next up, we'll be reviewing Mr. Blizzard's Brigade.
That one's kind of a mouthful.
Yeah, it was really hard to say.
Well, if you want to watch us play it, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're in for a cold one with today's free-for-all minigame, Mr. Blizzard's Brigade. In this one, the players find themselves trapped on a frozen lake and on the wrong side of a gang of snowmen. Your goal in this one is to survive the longest as snowballs are pummeled towards you. And these aren't just your regular everyday snowballs. Nope, these are ultimate snowballs that completely freeze you in ice when you're hit. So do your best to avoid them. Whoever is the last one standing, or whoever survives until time is up, wins.
Wow, what a great minigame this one was. I really liked playing this one.
Me too, it was so much fun.
It reminds me of the other great survival minigames in Mario Party like Chain Chomp Fever, where you're just trying to stay alive and dodge out of the way of whatever's trying to kill you. I feel like more often than not, these ones are really fun.
Yeah, I agree. And this one's especially fun because it gets more intense as the game goes on. The longer you're in, the more snowmen show up and the more snowballs you have to avoid.
Yeah, it makes it really intense, especially on the slippery ice.
Oh yeah, it's so slippery.
Ice can sometimes be annoying in Mario games, but I don't feel like it hinders this one.
No, it made it really fun. One strategy I did find helpful for this one was hiding behind the other players once they got frozen. I used them kind of as a shield.
Yeah, that's definitely a good strategy. For me, I felt like a lot of my time was spent just watching the snowman. Before they throw a snowball, they'll kind of stop and look in a certain direction, so if you see them looking towards you, you know you want to move. It gets a little harder to keep your eye on all the snowmen as more and more of them pop up, but it's usually pretty helpful to know when you have to move out of the way or not.
Yeah, I feel like that's especially helpful in the beginning when there's not that many snowmen to keep an eye on. Also, of course, you're going to want to avoid the giant snowman too, because his snowballs are massive.
Oh yeah, definitely keep your eye on him. So overall, there's not a lot of bad stuff to say about this one. If you like survival minigames, you'll love this one. It's really fun and rewarding to dodge the snowballs, and staying alive until the end gets really intense. But don't worry, you have some good strategies to use to get there. Hide behind the other frozen players and keep your eyes on the snowman, and you should do pretty well in this one. I'm pretty sure you'll want to keep playing it over and over again. I know we did, so we're giving it 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Well, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Mushroom Medic.
Uh-oh, paging Dr. Mario.
Gosh, I hope he's on call.
Well, I guess we'll find out next time. Come back to play it with us.
Hope to see you then.
I'm the winner.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Today's review is for the extra room minigame Mushroom Medic. In this one, it's proven to us once again that it doesn't take much to be considered a doctor in the Mushroom Kingdom. At the beginning of each round, each patient will eat a mushroom, with one of them being poison. It's your job as the doctor to listen to each of their heartbeats and figure out whose is beating differently. If you have Rumble turned on, then you'll feel each heartbeat that way. If it's off, each patient will have a beating heart above their head that you'll be able to look at to spot the differences. If you guess right, you move on to the next round, but if you guess wrong or run out of time, you're left watching hopelessly as the patient dies a brutal and painful death in front of you. The game continues until you lose, so this one is all about beating your high score. Just make sure not to mess up. You might get your license taken away.
I I'm not really sure why any of the characters are eating mushrooms. That seems a little too dangerous.
It's also a little suspicious that they're eating them at the hospital. Are the doctors giving them these mushrooms?
I don't know what's going on in the Mushroom Kingdom, but I do know that this minigame was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, it was fun. It's one of those minigames with a simple concept, but it's pretty rewarding to have to go through and find which heartbeat is different.
Yeah, sometimes it's super easy to spot the difference and pick the right character, but other times I actually found it pretty challenging.
Yeah, same. Sometimes the heartbeats don't seem like they're that different from each other. You really have to analyze them for a second.
Yeah, and a couple of times I actually ran out of time trying to figure it out. That surprised me because I feel like normally there's too much time in the minigames.
Yeah, definitely. The further you go on in this one, the less time you have to figure out which heartbeat is different. So it starts to get really tough where you just kind of have to look at it or feel it for a second and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you might just have to guess.
Definitely. But it helps if the different one is one of the first three. Like if the different one is the second heartbeat, you can see the first one and the second one and see that they're different, and then the third one will tell you which one is the outlier.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
But overall, it's still a fun one as well. It's really rewarding to find the different heartbeat, especially when the timer starts going down really fast and you don't have much time. It's definitely one of those minigames where you'll want to beat your high score. And although it's not part of the main group of Mario Party minigames, it's still a good distraction that you'll probably come back to a few times here and there. So we're giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Mystic Match'em.
Sounds like another card matching minigame. I feel like every Mario Party game has one of these.
Yeah, I think they do. Well, guess you'll have to come back to see what this minigame's all about.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! New record!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Today we're playing the story minigame, Mystic Match'em. This is the minigame you'll get at the end of the Boo's Haunted Bash board in Mario Party 4's story mode. The minigame is basically a spin on your classic card matching games. Instead of seeing who leaves with the most pairs, this one has each player start with 3 random cards. On your turn, you choose 1 card in your hand to give up and 1 card to take. But watch out, because if you draw a Boo card, all 3 of your cards are taken and the entire deck is flipped over and shuffled. The first to get 3 of the same cards in their hand wins. Now get flippin'!
Well, I think we can agree the memory match card games are never really great. They have their purpose, but they're not anything special. But one thing I will say about this is that it at least gives it a nice twist instead of being just your regular memory match.
Yeah, it was a little different. In memory match minigames, you always have the strategy of trying to remember what card is which when it's flipped over if your partner doesn't get a match right away. This one has that twist where you don't have to do any memorizing. And really, you don't have to do much strategizing either. It's all just random.
Yeah, and I'll say that's probably the biggest fault in this one. All the cards are randomly shuffled, and once somebody gets rid of one of the cards in their hand, it stays face up so you can't grab it. That means that you're never going to be able to see any of the cards that are face down and memorize where they are for later on when you need them.
Yeah, and maybe your strategy might be to put back the card that your opponent also put back, because that way, there's less of those instrument cards available. But even that strategy has a flaw, because if you land on a Boo card, they all get shuffled back, so that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, the Boo cards are pretty annoying. You had to get rid of your entire hand, but then it also shuffles all the cards on the table, so all too often it made our games turn out to be really long. I mean, there was at least one time when we got at least 3 Boos, and when you just have to keep starting over with new cards, the game can just go on and on.
Yeah, getting a Boo card makes it feel like you're just starting the minigame over and doesn't even add challenge to it. Maybe there just needs to be less Boo cards, but also it might just be more fun if there was no Boo cards.
Yeah, I could agree with that. There still wouldn't really be any strategy involved, but at least at that point you wouldn't have to worry about starting over. And overall, that's really all we have to say about this one. It is nice that they put a new spin on memory matching minigames, but I can't say that it's all that great. The boo cards can make the minigame take way too long sometimes, and the fact that there's no strategy means you're basically just going through the motions until this one is over. It does feel nice to win, but other than that, there's not many upsides to this one, so we're giving this one 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Order Up.
I'm getting hungry already. If you want to watch it with us, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Oh, I know!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. I hope you're hungry because it's time to eat in today's 2 vs 2 minigame Order Up. In each round, Toad will ask each team to find 2 foods on a rotating table of food. To start with, they're all uncovered, but they'll be covered up before Toad asks you to find the food, so make sure to try memorizing where everything is. If your team uncovers both food items first, you'll win that round, and the first team to 3 points will win the entire minigame. Eat up!
This was just your basic memorization minigame, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I like this one. It had a good intensity to it because you were too busy trying to flip over your food items to see if the other team was close to getting theirs yet. So it was really exciting every time you got another point.
Yeah, there were so many times I was standing by the right food, but I wasn't able to flip it over because the other team got it first.
Yeah, those moments are the best though. Not for you necessarily, but for the other team. I think the best strategy for this one is to definitely try and memorize where all the foods are. If you and your teammate each memorize half of the table, it's pretty easy to know where something is, as long as you keep your eye on it while it's spinning.
Yeah, and some of the time the table stops in the same spot, so then it was super easy to win. If you're playing with a computer though, that adds a little bit of a challenge because you'll have to memorize the whole table and who knows what they'll do.
Yeah, in those cases, I still just memorized half of it, and then if I didn't have that food item in my half, I would know I'd have to go around to the other side of the table. You still have to pick up some random boxes until you find it, but at least you're a little bit better off. So overall, we had a lot of fun with this one, and not just because Sarah loves food so much. It's really exciting and intense to run around the table and try and get the food items before the other team does, and some of the rounds really come down to the wire. Your best bet in this one is to memorize where everything is. That makes it a lot quicker. But even if you don't, you'll still have fun flipping open all the food items. So we're giving this one 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing sailing. You really have to emphasize the hyphens on those words.
Well, you did a good job of it. If you want to watch us play this minigame, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. I hope you're ready for a pair of gamers to go parasailing in today's 2 vs 2 minigame called, you guessed it, parasailing. In this one member of the team takes to the sky to try and nab as many coins as they can. Their partner is there to help them out by driving the boat faster or slower to help the parasailer go lower or higher. But they also have to make sure to avoid the oddly large amount of crates littering the water, while also going left or right to help guide the parasailer to the coin. There's no winning or losing in this one, just money, so get out there and prepare to rack them up.
You know, this one's kind of a tough one for us to judge. Just like a lot of 1 vs 3 minigames, I had a very different amount of fun depending on what part of the team I was on. It wasn't bad when you were in the air catching the coins, but when you were the boat driver, it was just really frustrating.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I don't know why they even put obstacles in the water, because it would have been just as fun to navigate the water to try and get the parasailer to get all the coins. I think the obstacles added too much of a challenge.
Yeah, when you're the driver, there's just so much you have to pay attention to. You have to be looking at the sky so that you know when to move back and forth so that the other player can get the coins, and you also have to worry about going faster or slower to raise or lower their height. It's just a lot to keep track of, and I never really felt like I got very good at it.
Yeah, me neither. The driver has to do way too much, and it doesn't make it fun.
By the end of our time playing this, I just wasn't worrying about the obstacles at all. if I hit the crates, I would just hit the crate.
I think that was a good strategy because hitting the crate slowed you down. So it made it so you didn't really have to worry about speed too much. You could just focus on left or right.
Yeah, and that's basically what I did.
I had a better time being in the air and trying to collect all the coins, but that had its challenges too. It was a little frustrating because you don't really have too much control on where you're going. So yeah, you can move left or right, but it takes a long time to get to those directions. So you're really at the mercy of the driver. It was more fun than driving, but it still had its own challenges.
Yeah, and overall, that's really all we have to say about this one. It's not a ton of fun playing on either side of this one, but it's at least tolerable when you're in the air. It is fun and rewarding to collect the coins, especially when you really rack them up. But as the boat driver, you just have too much to worry about, and not in a fun way. It's just overwhelming. We didn't absolutely hate this minigame, and it is nice playing the ones where you have the chance to get a ton of coins. So we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Panel Panic. Whenever the minigames have panic in the name, it always makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, I'm panicking already. If you want to see how fun the minigame is, come back for our next video. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. I don't want you to panic, but we're beginning to near the end of our Mario Party 4 journey.
What?
I said I don't want you to panic, but we're beginning to near the end of our Mario Party 4 journey. Today we're playing the final extra room minigame, Panel Panic. In this one, up to 4 players all choose a numbered spot on a board from 1 to 9. The empty spots will be filled with more computer players. After this, every character will roll a die, and if your number is rolled by anyone, you're plunged to your doom. Whoever is the last one to survive will win. Although I don't know if that's much of a reassurance since you're seemingly stuck in some sort of other ethereal dimension. But let's not dwell on that. It's time to jump into our review.
I don't really understand this minigame. It was 100% random and there was no strategy to it.
Yeah, what a pointless minigame, especially because it's in the extra room. Most extra room minigames have some sort of draw that keeps you coming back to them, like trying to beat your high score or finishing a puzzle in less amount of time. But this one doesn't have anything like that. You just go in and play it and leave.
And it wasn't even fun to play.
Yeah, I know. On top of everything else, it's not even a good minigame. It's really hard to find any redeeming qualities in this one.
Yeah, and I also don't understand why you're joined by more computer players. It would have been more fun if you just had to go through rounds just the 4 players instead of having it last only 2 rounds. Was that the same for you guys? Have you played it for more than 2 rounds? Let us know in the comments below, but we never made it past 2 rounds.
Yeah, by the second round, either one person was still alive or everyone was dead, which was probably lucky for them. But that's the other thing about this minigame. You're just rolling a die, so nothing about the gameplay is left up to choice. At least in other random minigames like Bowser's Bigger Blast, you have some sort of autonomy in that you're choosing which plunger you want to pull, but in this one you don't even have that. You're just rolling a randomly generated number and the game decides who lives and who dies. It makes for a really unrewarding experience.
Exactly. This minigame is an example of one of those random chance minigames done completely wrong.
So overall, there's really not a whole lot of stuff to redeem this one. You're probably going to wish that you lose. And once you do, I don't think you'll be coming back to play it very often. There's basically no gameplay involved besides choosing whichever number sounds good to you. But after that, the computer pretty much decides if you live or die. That's not a good minigame. So we're giving this one 1 star out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We're bringing the panels back for our next minigame called Panels of Doom.
Well, that sounds related to today's minigame. I hope it's a little better than this one though, but I guess we'll find out in our next video. Come back to watch it with us.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Well, we're continuing the theme of our previous review in today's Etc. minigame, Panels of Doom. You'll normally only play this one in story or party mode on the Bowser's Gnarly Party board. If you didn't watch our last video, Panel Panic puts 9 players on a board, had them each roll a dice, and if your number was rolled by anyone, you were out. Panels of Doom tweaks this formula somewhat by making it a battle between you and another player. Each of you start by choosing a number, and then you take turns rolling a dice until one of you falls to your doom. But is the tweaked gameplay enough to make it better than Panel Panic? Let's find out.
In short, just because they made some changes to this one doesn't make it any better of a minigame. Unfortunately, it's still very flawed and not really that fun to play.
I know, I had such high hopes for this one. I thought it was going to be the game I wanted to play.
Yeah, in theory, it sounds like a better version of the game when you only have 2 players on the board, but in practice, it's really not. You each pick a number at the beginning, and then just keep going back and forth rolling your die until one of you falls. They could have maybe made it a little more exciting by letting you choose your number after each die roll, but I don't know that even that would have helped that much.
Yeah, I wonder why they didn't do that. I think it would have been more fun if you got to change your number if your number wasn't rolled. At least it'd let you be doing something.
I also found it interesting that they put the character faces on the die as well.
Why did they do that?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I guess it was just a way to make the game end quicker, which maybe the developers realized everyone would probably want, but it's just kind of weird. In addition to being able to roll the number that the other player is on, if you roll their face, they also die.
Yeah, I don't really get the point of that because it makes it even less fun to play. This was all still random, but just not in a fun way. I feel like it didn't make any improvements on Panel Panic.
Yeah, I don't think it did either. And overall, if you haven't been able to tell so far, this one's just really not good. Panel Panic was bad and so was this one. It's still a random minigame, but in a really bad way because at the end of the day, it's just the computer choosing your fate. It controls what you roll on the die, so it basically decides at one point, we want this player to lose. Regardless of what number you landed on, the outcome of the game would probably be the same because when it decides that you're the one to lose, it doesn't care what number you landed on. You're going to lose either way. So we're giving this one 1 star out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Paratrooper Plunge.
I'll be honest, playing this minigame today kind of makes me want to plunge out of an airplane, but maybe that one will be a lot funner than this one is.
Yeah, hopefully that's more fun. Guess you have to come back to find out. Hope to see you then.
I'm the winner.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Raise your hand if you were aware that money in the Mushroom Kingdom floats. I wasn't. But today's free-for-all minigame Paratrooper Plunge shows us that if you're brave enough to take to the skies, there's money there just waiting for you. The minigame itself is pretty simple. Each player jumps from a plane with a balloon to slow your descent, and your goal is to grab as many coins and bags as you can before reaching the ground. But every time you hit an enemy, your balloon will get smaller, and if you're hit 4 times, you're out. Other than that, just collect as many coins as you can and have fun. But don't think about the fact that your whole life is relying on a single string tied to a balloon.
Like most coin minigames, this one was okay. I think the best strategy here was to make sure you were getting the money bags and to avoid getting hit. But that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, the money bags definitely helped a lot, but as far as avoiding getting hit goes, it could be a little awkward to do sometimes. For some reason, the camera angle on this game isn't directly overhead of you, it's kind of angled to the side a little bit, and it makes it a little tough to figure out where you are sometimes. There's times when I would miss a coin that I thought I was going to get, or hit an enemy that I thought I was going to avoid. It got a little bit frustrating at times.
Yeah, I agree. And when you're falling in the sky and there's 3 other players and there's coins and there's enemies, it's just kind of hard to tell a little bit what's going on, especially because the angle is awkward.
Yeah, definitely. But I wouldn't say that this minigame's horrible. I guess I didn't mind playing it, and it's always nice coming away with free coins.
Yeah, that's true.
But overall, even though this game's okay, it's definitely not great. Even if you do lose and get your balloon popped, you'll probably still leave with at least some coins, so that's good. But unfortunately, the weird camera angle makes it really tough to always get the coins and avoid the enemies, which really hurts this game. In my mind, this is the very definition of an average Mario Party minigame that's not unfun to play, but is definitely pretty forgettable. So we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Ooh, our next minigame is Paths of Peril.
Sounds treacherous.
Don't you mean perilous?
Yeah, I guess that fits better. It's not called Paths of Treacher.
Yeah, I think that's a different minigame.
If you want to see how good this one is, join us for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to get dangerous in today's battle minigame, Paths of Peril. This one has each player facing off by trying to reach the finish line first. To do this, you'll have to trek through an extremely winding path full of twists, turns, and, well, I guess that's about it. It just twists and turns a lot. It also branches into separate directions at a couple spots, which will each have a different path to walk through. But other than that, you just walk. It might not sound all that exciting, but let's review it anyway, just in case it surprises us.
Well, I think walking is pretty fun, so I enjoyed this minigame.
It's pretty dangerous, too.
Yeah, usually when I go for walks in real life, all I have to worry about is maybe a dog biting me.
Or maybe tripping on the sidewalk, but definitely not falling to your death.
But no, this minigame is pretty fun. I always like these ones that are kind of skill-based.
Normally these kind of minigames are a little too challenging for me, but I think I did okay on this one. I think the best strategy is to go a little bit fast when you're doing the straightaways, that way it can make up some time when you have to go slower around the corners. But I still fell a decent amount.
And in terms of choosing which path you want to take, I'm not sure that there's a big difference. It seemed like there was just a few pre-generated paths that it would lay out in random positions for you, so sometimes when you went left it would be a bunch of sharp 90-degree turns, and another time it would be kind of more winding, but those same paths would always show up. It was just where they were positioned that would change.
I thought the one with the 90-degree turns was way easier than the one that was just winding. Did you have a preference?
Not really. I was pretty good at both of them.
I also like that this one gets pretty intense. I kept trying to see where the other players were and to see if I was just at the same spot as them or if I could sneak ahead. We had a few close games.
Oh, for sure. So overall, this one was pretty fun. Yeah, it might sound boring when you say all you have to do is walk, but honestly, that's enough for this one. Because it's a battle minigame, it gets really competitive, and you want to try and push yourself by going faster and faster. But if you go too fast, then you run the risk of falling off more. So you really have to balance playing it safe and going fast enough to win. The paths that you go through are always the same, but their location will change, so you never know which path you're going to get when you turn left or right. Other than that, there's not much more to say about this one besides that we're giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Photo Finish. Well, this sounds like an exciting one. Guess you'll have to come back to see what it's all about. Hope to see you then.
Finish! I'm the winner!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Don't blink because you might miss today's minigame. It's the free-for-all Photo Finish. You like puzzles, right?
I love puzzles.
I like puzzles too. Hopefully you like puzzles because today's minigame has all 4 players trying to be the first player to complete their puzzle. Luckily, it's only 8 pieces, but on the other hand, the picture is moving, so it might up the difficulty a bit as you try and piece together what you're looking at. Whoever turns, flips, and places all 8 of their puzzle pieces first will win. Then the only puzzle left will be to figure out what score to give it.
For all those competitive puzzlers out there, this minigame's for you. It's a lot of fun to try and race to finish the puzzle before the other player.
Are competitive puzzlers actually a thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize. Well then, yeah, there's definitely going to be people that love this one.
Yeah, this one is a lot of fun, but it's not without its flaws. An 8-piece puzzle isn't that tricky, but I understand they couldn't do too many pieces for a short minigame. But I do think that they should have given the players the pieces in different orders. I think the fact that everyone gets the same piece at the same time makes it a little too easy, because you can just glance down and see where someone else put it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we did that a bunch, or at least I did. If I didn't immediately know where a piece went, I would glance over to your part of the screen to see if you had already placed it. Then I'd at least be able to stay close behind you.
Yeah, I did that too. Also, I had a little bit of a hard time placing the pieces. I had to be in the exact spot or else it wouldn't go down.
I don't know if I really noticed that issue very much, but I could definitely see it happening. One thing that I think is a benefit to this game though is that there's 3 different puzzles you have to put together. It keeps it a little more fresh. Instead of memorizing the puzzle and knowing exactly what it looks like, this is a good way to add a little bit of challenge to it.
Yeah, I'm glad there was different puzzles. I like variety when I play minigames. However, it felt like we were always getting the same puzzle. I think we only saw the other 2 like 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, that was really weird. We played this one, I think, 8 to 10 times. And the first 4 or 5 times we played it, it was always the same puzzle. One of the puzzles we only saw on our last playthrough.
Yeah, that was weird. Does that happen to you guys? Have you seen all 3 puzzles, or is there a mystery puzzle out there for you? Let us know in the comments below.
But I don't want to fault the actual minigame for that. That might have just been a weird coincidence.
Well, that's Mario Party luck for you.
So overall, if you're one of those competitive puzzlers that I'm hearing about, you'll probably like this one. It's only 8 pieces, but it's cool that the pictures are moving, and it still takes a bit of work to get it done. Not to mention the fact that there's 3 different puzzles to work through give this one a good variety. It's not an amazing minigame by any stretch, but I don't hate to play it, so we're going to give it 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Reverse-A-Bomb. Or is it Bomb-A-Reverse?
Nah, it's definitely Reverse-A-Bomb, but I guess we'll have to wait to see what it's all about. Come back for our next video. Hope to see you then.
Finish! Yes, I'm the winner!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to take a trip to the bomb factory in today's 2 vs 2 minigame, Reverse-A-Bomb. At least I'm assuming it's a bomb factory. Where else would you find a whole bunch of bob-ombs on a conveyor belt? When the minigame starts, you find yourself in front of 6 buttons, each corresponding to one of the conveyor belts. If the bob-omb makes it all the way to one team's side, it'll blow up, and if 10 bob-ombs blow up on one side, that side loses. There's also a timer, and if it reaches 0 before 10 bob-ombs have blown up on either side, then the team with the most bob-ombs blown up on their side loses. You can't expect those fuses to last forever.
I'm pleasantly surprised with this minigame. Usually 2 vs 2 minigames are never my favorite, but this one was actually pretty good, not to mention challenging.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. Even when we played with the computers, it wasn't that bad.
No, not if you go into it with a good strategy. When we played, me and you each took half of the buttons, which is nice because then you only have 3 buttons to worry about and you never have to move that far. I would say that's definitely the way to go with this one.
Oh, me too. I don't think I could handle more than 3 buttons. It was kind of overwhelming, but in a really fun way.
Yeah, it was, and it was still challenging even with 3 buttons, honestly.
Yeah, especially if you got hit. If you got hit by a bob-omb, it really hinders you, and it's kind of hard to come back from that. But at the same time, it's really rewarding when you do.
Yeah, if a bob-omb blows up in front of you, you're kind of stunned for a few seconds before you can start hitting buttons again. So if there's any bob-ombs heading towards you right then, you basically guarantee that they're gonna blow up on your side. But like you said, that's just part of the challenge, and I don't think it really hinders it. It just makes you try harder.
And it makes you want to keep playing, too. It was really a challenge for me when we first started playing it. But the more we kept going, the more I wanted to play more and more.
Yeah, I think that's a really good quality to have in a minigame. You should always want to play them over and over.
I agree.
So overall, I don't know if there's many flaws in this one. You can argue that the fact that you get stunned for a few seconds when a bomb blows up in front of you could be a hindrance, but I just see it as more of a challenge. And other than that, there's nothing but positives to this one. It's hectic and frantic and really intense, and also very rewarding when you win. And especially for 2 versus 2 minigames, this one's near the top of the pack, so we're giving it 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! It's been a long time since we've had a 5-star minigame, I feel like.
Yeah, hopefully there's more coming soon, because we're almost done with Mario Party 4.
Gosh, I know. We only have 10 minigames left after this one.
Wow, we're in the home stretch.
I'm actually surprised at how much fun we've had with Mario Party 4. It might be my favorite so far.
Yeah, this group of minigames was pretty good overall.
Well, hopefully it continues, but you'll have to come back to find out. Our next review will be of right or left.
Oh, like a boat oar. I get it. How clever of them.
They always love those puns.
Well, if you want to see us review this minigame, come back for our next video.
And if you liked this review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And you can come back for our next review. Hope to see you then.
I'm the winner.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Well, I hate to say it, but I don't have high hopes for today's minigame. It's the 2 versus 2 right or left, and as you can clearly see, they couldn't even be bothered to spell it right, or is clearly spelled wrong.
Actually, I think it's supposed to be a pun on boat oars.
Yeah, but in this context it doesn't make any sense. They clearly meant to write it as OR since that's how they use it.
Well, I think it's supposed to be a pun. I mean, you even use boat oars in this minigame.
Nope, I refuse to accept it. This is just another sign of their low standards when it comes to some of these minigames. But who knows, maybe it'll surprise us. Like I said, this is a 2 versus 2 minigame where the point of it is to row your boat to the exit of the cave before the other team does. To do this, you can mash on A and B to go forward, A to row your right oar, and B to row your left oar. Whichever team winds their way past the twists and hazards of the cave first will win the minigame.
If you're in a boat in real life and you're paddling with someone else, you'd want to try and time your paddles together because that would make you go faster. But not in this minigame. You would think in this minigame that those physics would be the same, but it's not. You and your partner both can do whatever you want, just as long as you mash the button, you'll go faster. Which in my opinion, makes this a way less strategic minigame than it could have been.
Yeah, we were really confused about this one when we started off. At first we tried to time our button presses together, but we just could not go very fast and we always lost. It wasn't until you suggested button mashing that we finally realized that's what we were supposed to do, but it's really not made very clear. Even the opening cinematic to this one shows them paddling the oars relatively slowly, so when we first started playing we tried to time our button presses to that.
I know, we expected more for this minigame, but we should have realized it's Mario Party, so a button masher is what we get.
Yeah, and even after we figured out how to play it, I don't think that I really enjoyed it very much more. You're still just button mashing and going through a cave, trying to wind around all the obstacles and make sure you don't hit any of the flames.
But even if you do hit the flames, it's not really that big of a deal, because you would have had to stop to wait for them to go away, or you could keep going, get hit, and then get stunned for a second. I don't really think it makes that big of a difference.
Yeah, either way you're gonna have to stop. You might as well risk it and just keep going. So overall, whether you play this one right or whether you play it wrong, it's not very fun.
I think you mean if you play it right or you play it left.
Whatever you want to say. The title might be a pun.
But there's no fun.
Exactly. It's really not fun to button mash, and it's just kind of a confusing minigame that you'll want to get over with. Like the title, this one's no good. We're giving it 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've got less than 10 mini games left, so come back to watch our next video of rumble fishing. I don't think I've ever heard of a rumble fish before.
I didn't know there was anything but Cheep Cheeps in the Mushroom Kingdom, but I guess we'll have to see what this minigame's all about. Come back to play it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! New record! Yes, I'm the winner!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Do you feel something? It almost feels like an earthquake. Wait, no, It's not an earthquake. It's today's battle minigame, Rumble Fishing. This is a pretty simple one. Each player casts their fishing line, and as soon as you feel the rumble or see the exclamation mark over your head, you pull it out. Whoever is the fastest one to do this will win.
I really don't know about this one. I wouldn't say it's bad, because I do kind of like these reaction-based minigames, but it was just really short.
Yeah, this one's over before you even know it. I'm partial to these reaction minigames because personally I think I'm pretty good at them. But again, there's no strategy really, and you don't really do much. So I'm not even really sure how we should rate this one. It's good, but there's not really a game.
Yeah, I wish there was something more to it than this. It would have been cool if you had to keep pulling out fish. Like if each person kept having to hit the button as quick as they could, and the quicker you hit it, the bigger your fish would be when you pulled out, and at the end it would weigh all of your fish and see who caught the biggest and most of them. I feel like something like that would have been much better than this was.
Wait, that sounds like a really fun minigame. Why didn't they do that? This one definitely should have had rounds or something.
Yeah, I have no idea. Again, it's not that this one's bad, it's just over before you know it.
It feels like something that would pop up on the board randomly that you just quickly partake in, like a versus minigame or a lottery card. Just one of those random quick things.
Yeah, it really does. And overall, I think that's the biggest takeaway to this one. What's there is good, we just kind of wanted more. The reaction-based minigames are often pretty fun, at least in our view. But when all you're doing is hitting one button and then ending, it's over before you know it. It's really hard for us to rate this one because, again, we like what's there. There just isn't much to it. So we kind of went back and forth on what to give this one, but in the end, we felt that it was best to give it 3 stars out of 5. It's good, but it's held back from being great.
Do you guys agree? Let us know in the comments below if you would have given it a different rating or if 3 is what it deserves. Well, that's it for today. So thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Slime Time next. Oh yuck, I hate slime.
Well, hopefully this minigame's better than that, but I guess we'll find out next time.
Hope to see you then.
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to get slimy in today's free-for-all minigame, Slime Time. In this one, each player has been captured by some sort of sentient slime. To escape, you need to, of course, mash on the A button. It's another button masher, so decide right now whether you want to even fight back or whether you'd rather just succumb to the slime. Whichever player is the fastest to pull themselves all the way to the middle first will win. Just be sure not to slow down your button presses too much or you'll be pulled all the way back to the slime and have to start your button mashing journey all over again.
You know, I think this is better than your average button masher minigame. I kind of liked it.
I did too. I didn't mind this one at all, although it wasn't great.
No. I mean, it was good for a button masher. I really liked that the ground was an indication of how well you were doing compared to the other players, and how much further you had left. As soon as I had a square that lit up, I was like, yes! I'm that much closer to being done.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what makes this better than most others. You know exactly how well you're doing and how much more you have to go before you win.
Yeah, and it also made for some really close games. Like if you and I were entering the same square at the same time, I knew I needed to pick up my button mashing or else you were gonna win.
Yeah, same. When you're super close, it gives you that extra burst of energy you need to potentially win this one. And I think that might be the winning formula for button mashers.
Yeah, I think so too. It just made it really intense and fun.
Yep. So overall, as far as button mashers go, I would say this is a great one, but put into the context of all minigames Mario Party has to offer, it's only okay. The good things about this one compared to other button mashers is how you can see exactly where you're at in your progress and how much more you have to go. It makes it more intense because you can look around and see exactly where you are compared to your competitors and help you power through until the end. So we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Stamp Out.
Sounds like we're heading to the post office with this one.
It's just another day in the Mushroom Kingdom. Well, if you want to join us on this journey, come back to watch it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to make a mess in today's free-for-all minigame, Stamp Out. In this one, each player is on top of a different colored stamp, and your goal is to have more of your color on the paper than anyone else does by the end of the minigame. Whoever ends with the highest percentage will stamp their way to victory.
I think it's safe to say that we both had a lot of fun with this one. It was really refreshing and fun to play, I thought.
Oh yeah, it really was. One thing I really enjoyed about this one was there's a lot of different strategies you could try out.
Yeah, me and you definitely started with two very different strategies. You started by just doing your own thing and trying to get as much of your color on the paper as possible, whereas I immediately started trying to cover up other people's colors so that I would lower their percentage.
Yeah, what does that say about our personalities? I think you're a little devious.
Hey, I'm just playing to win.
I have to say, it was super satisfying to make a clean edge around the page of only my color, but really, it didn't help me win any.
I mean, to be fair, you were just kind of doing your own thing and nobody else was bothering you because you were so far away from us. But I guess you can't count on that every time you play.
Yeah, especially if there's someone else out there who's stamping out all the colors of everyone else and getting their color all over the page. I think you have to do a good mix of offense and defense for this one.
Yeah, I agree.
I also tried button mashing, so I wouldn't take really big jumps, but I just kept going.
Yeah, and that's also opposite from what I did. The longer you hold down the A button, the further you'll jump. So I tended to hold down the button a little bit every time I jumped. That way I could be sure I would go far enough where I wouldn't cover up any part of my color and I would get maximum coverage. But the drawback to that is it was slower than your approach, so I'm not sure the one was better than the other.
Yeah, I agree. Let us know in the comments how you guys like to play. Have you found one way works better for you? Or have you tried something else completely different?
The only small nitpick I had with this one is that I guess I felt like the controls were just a little bit tedious. Having to hold down the A button to jump every time you wanted to move did feel a little bit sluggish compared to how I wanted to move. But that might have only been me. I don't know if that's a problem everyone has with this one.
No, I agree. I really wish we could go faster. I mean, it would be a different play for the minigame if we were trying to go as fast as possible and still trying to cover up other people's colors. I think it could still have the same feel though, it just might be more intense.
Yeah, but overall, that doesn't hinder the game too much. It's just something I'd put on my wish list. Other than that, this one's pretty fun and we definitely had a good time with it. There's a lot of different strategies you can use, and it's really rewarding to win this one by just a percentage point or two. So we're giving it 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this minigame, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We're entering our last letter of the alphabet for our minigames. We only have games that start with the letter T left. We'll be reviewing Take a Breather next. Well, you don't have to tell me twice.
If you want to see us play this minigame, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Oh, I'm the winner!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. You know, it's not often we step back for a moment and rest while we're playing these minigames, but luckily for us, that time has come in today's free-for-all minigame, Take a Breather. Your goal in this one is to stay underwater longest by holding your breath. At the beginning of the minigame, you have 5 seconds to alternate hitting L and R to draw in your breath. Once that's over, the characters dive into the water and whoever holds their breath the longest will win the minigame. Now let's find out if this minigame is any good, because if it's not, I might have to actually go and take a breather before we review another one.
Oh, sorry, I was taking a breather because this one isn't very good.
Yeah, I wish this was as good as the button masher we played the other day, Slime Time, but it's not.
Yeah, I agree. This one has got nothing on Slime Time. For one, there's no way to see how well you're doing until the end. I mean, it's only 5 seconds, so you don't have to mash for very long, but it's not very satisfying to play.
No, I feel like this has the same issue as most other button mashers, where for most of the minigame, you have no idea how well you're doing, and then after a period of button mashing, it just kind of shows you the result. There's no chance for you to look around and see how you're doing based on everyone else, or try to put some more energy into it at the end if you're really close to winning. So you just kind of go through it and wait for it to be done.
Yeah, that being said, it was a little fun at the end to try and beat the high score, and to see if you held your breath longer than the other players.
Yeah, that's one thing I will give it. It's really fun to see everyone underwater and see everyone pop up one by one while your character's still there.
We actually had one minigame where we both popped up at the same time. What's the likelihood of that? I feel like this one has a very slim chance to end up in a draw, but somehow we did manage it.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. So overall, this is your basic generic button mashing minigame. There's nothing special to it, and it falls into the same traps that most other button mashers do, which is that you have no idea how well you're doing until the minigame finally shows you. But until that, you're just hitting a button and waiting for it to be done. And now that we've seen it done better in minigames like Slime Time, there's really no excuse for them to still keep making them like this. You've got to add some sort of twist to make it better, so we're giving this one 2 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've only got 5 minigames left of Mario Party 4. We'll be reviewing Team Treasure Trek next. I love trekking for treasure.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we find some after this minigame, because this one's definitely not any treasure. But we'll have to see in our next video. Come back to watch it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! New record! Yes, I'm the winner!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We're down to our last 5 minigames, Mario Party 4, so the hunt is on for any hidden treasures of a minigame still left to find. Luckily for us, today's minigame is the 2 vs 2 Team Treasure Trek. This one finds all the players in a maze, with the goal being for one member to find their team's treasure chest and the other to find the key that unlocks it. Whichever team finds both things first and then finds each other will unlock the treasure chest and win the minigame. But let's find out if the treasure is even worth finding, or if this one ends up being less amazing than it lets on.
No, I actually think this one's pretty amazing.
I agree, this was a great minigame. It was really different than other ones we've seen so far.
Yeah, all too often, Mario Party minigames kind of get clumped together into categories like, oh, this one's just another button masher, this one's another random minigame, but this one's kind of different from all that. It really stands on its own.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth and strategy to this one. One thing I thought was really helpful was to keep an eye on the treasure chest in the beginning and try and make a little path before the screen goes away. That way you have an idea of where you need to go and you don't have to keep pulling up the map every couple seconds.
Yeah, that definitely helps. It's the only way to see the entire level before you start playing. The map does help and I'm glad it's there, but it doesn't show all the twists and turns of the maze, it just shows where the items are. So it does help you get an idea on where you are compared to whichever item you're going for, but it's not going to help you solve the maze.
True. I did love having that map though. Another strategy that's really helpful is working out with your partner ahead of time which treasure chest they're going to go for. I think there was one time where we ended up at the same one, and that wasted a lot of time.
Yeah, it did. It's also nice to communicate with your partner once you both have the items on where you're going to meet. You don't want to be running away from each other or end up going to where they used to be and miss them.
Yeah, when I tried to find you, I pulled up the map so that could help me find you.
Yeah, that's probably the best approach to use. So overall, I don't know that there's really anything we don't like about this minigame. It's really unique, there's some fun strategy involved, and it's different from what you're usually going to play in Mario Party. It's always a treat when this one pops up because it gives you a chance to do something a little bit different. If you like Mario Party, you'll probably enjoy this one. So we're giving it 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Free Throw next. Oh, I mean Free Throw. That's what they call free throws in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Well, if you want to see us play this one, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Yes, I'm the winner!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to have a ball in today's free-for-all minigame, Free Throw. There are 3 moving rows of basketball hoops, and your goal is to make as many baskets as you can before time runs out. The top and bottom rows are worth 1 point each, and the middle is worth 2. And watch out, because once someone makes a shot into a hoop, the ball will stay there until it scrolls off screen, so plan your shots accordingly. Whoever scores the most points in 30 seconds will win the minigame.
Man, I had so much fun with this minigame.
Me too, which is surprising, because I generally don't like basketball in real life.
Yeah, same. I think one thing that made it super challenging was the fact that the balls don't disappear after they land in the hoop. It definitely made it difficult, but I think that's also what made it so much fun. I don't know about you, but I wanted to try and throw my ball in the hoop as fast as possible. So I think I worried a little bit more about speed than accuracy.
Well, I could see that approach working. You might miss more, but you'll be shooting more balls overall. I also liked how the balls stayed in the hoops. It definitely made you think about things a little more before you threw.
Yeah, it was super annoying being next to you because if you hit it in first, then I didn't have a chance, so I had to go for the other rows.
I will say that the lowest row of baskets was definitely the hardest for me to hit. The middle row could also be a bit difficult, but once you learned what point in your jump to throw it at, it was a lot easier. The bottom one though, I never really figured out. However, that might have been just because I wasn't paying attention to it much. Most of my time was focused on the middle row, and if they didn't go into the middle, they usually went into the top, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, come to think of it, I don't think I ever got a ball in the lowest basket.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if I did either.
Maybe they should have made that one worth 2 points because that's definitely the hardest.
Or 3 points even.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. Do you guys have trouble getting into that basket? Let us know in the comments below if you can make it into the lowest one.
So overall, there's not a lot of bad stuff to say about this one. We definitely both really enjoyed it. It's challenging and competitive, and there's a decent amount of strategy involved. Sure, we might not have made many baskets into the lowest row of hoops, but I don't think that's on the game. That's more just on our play styles. So we're giving this one 5 stars out of 5.
Woohoo! 2 5-star minigames in a row? What's next? A third one?
I don't know, but I hope so.
Me too. Well, that's it for today. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Toad's Quick Draw next.
Well, come watch our next video to see if this continues a streak of 5-star minigames.
Hope to see you then.
I'm the winner.
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. It's time to take a trip back to the Wild West days of the Mushroom Kingdom, and this free-for-all minigame, Toad's Quick Draw. In this one, Koopas on train cars will release different colored balloons into the air, and then Toad will hold up a colored flag. Your goal is to use your pop gun to be the first to shoot the right colored balloon. Whoever is the first to get 3 points will win the minigame. Saddle up, partner, and let's get shooting.
Well, this continues our streak of really good minigames, because I thought this one was great.
Me too. Man, we're really saving the best for last for these ones.
Yeah, tell me about it. This was one of those ones that's pretty simple, but also just super fun and really competitive. It's got everything you need to create a great Mario Party minigame.
Yeah, this one got really intense for us. It was a little difficult to see a reticle through everyone else's and the balloons, but I think that's what made it so fun and challenging.
Yeah, it definitely got pretty hectic. I noticed that me and you had 2 different strategies while playing this one. You would choose one balloon to focus your reticle on, in the hopes that that would be the one that Toad chose, because if it was, you would have immediately gotten it. And if not, there's still a good chance that you would have gotten the right one if it was close by. My approach was to just keep my reticle in the middle of all the balloons, and hope that I was fast enough to get to the right one.
And most of the time you were, and most of the time I couldn't read Toad's mind, something I'm still working on perfecting. I think the hardest part for me, besides seeing where my reticle was making sure I didn't move too much. I was so excited to find the balloon, I was swerving the controller all over the place, and I think I just needed to do little movements.
I think little flicks of the control stick is definitely best in this one. Otherwise you end up overshooting and missing out on the balloon.
Yeah, unfortunately that's what happened to me a lot of times, but it didn't make it any less fun to play. I really enjoyed it.
So overall, there aren't really any negatives to this one that are the fault of the minigame. Any bad things we have to say about it are our own shortcomings.
Hey!
For instance, some of us just aren't good at reading Toad's mind, but we shouldn't take that out on the minigame. It's still super fun, super competitive, and really rewarding to win. So we're giving this one 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! 3 in a row. Doesn't get much better than that.
It could if we go for 4.
Well, I guess you'll have to come back for our next video, Trace Race, to see if it does. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
If you want to see if our 5-star streak continues, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Yeah, I'm the winner!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. We might be just about at the end of our Mario Party 4 journey, but that doesn't mean the silly pun names and pointless rhyming have to stop now. Today we're playing the battle minigame Trace Race, so clearly the pattern is continuing. Trace Race gives each player a crayon and lays out a line in front of them that they have to trace. At the end, each player is given a score based on their accuracy, and whoever is most accurate will win the minigame. Now let's give this minigame its own score and see if it's any good.
Okay, so I'm not sure why, but I had a lot of trouble playing this. You did so well, but every time I played it, for some reason, I was just completely off. I found it super challenging.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I've been tracing lines since I was in kindergarten, so I'm pretty good at it by now.
I mean, that explains that, but doesn't explain why I'm so bad at it.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder what you were doing back then.
Maybe I was more into finger painting than tracing. Even though I wasn't very good at it and I found it really challenging, it was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Probably more than you, honestly. To me, it has that same satisfaction that Crazy Cutters had, where you're just tracing a line and trying to be as accurate as you can. But I really like those, and I really like this one. There's just something really rewarding about being as precise as you can be with your tracing.
I wouldn't know that feeling, but I'm sure you're right. We found kind of an interesting strategy in this one. If you go too slow, the screen pushes you along, and we tried to use that to our benefit. We thought, okay, well we can focus on accuracy if we're not focusing on speed. Unfortunately, when we got to the loop-de-loop, you weren't able to really do that if you weren't moving on your own. So we wouldn't recommend that as a strategy. That's good to know though, because you don't want to go too slow on this one.
Yeah, I wish that worked though, because just having to focus on going up and down instead of holding forward and going up and down seemed a lot easier to me, but I really didn't think that one through.
One thing I did like about this minigame though, was the variety in the courses. Even though we were just tracing, it was nice to have a few different options.
Yeah, randomizing it means that you can't just memorize the path and get better at it every time, so that's nice.
Although that's probably what I needed.
So overall, if you liked Crazy Cutters, you'll probably like this one. However, if you were never really good at tracing lines in school, I don't know if you're going to be very good at this. It's definitely one of those mini games that's just simple fun, and it's really rewarding when you finish it very accurately. However, some people might have a harder time with it than others, and it can be a little tough at times. So we're giving this one 4 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You'll want to make sure you come back for our next video of Tree Stomp because it's the last review in Mario Party 4.
Wow, we're already at the end of another game.
I know, I can't believe it.
Well, if you want to see our last review in Mario Party 4, come back for our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Yeah, I'm the winner!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 4 minigame review. Well, we're finally here, the very last minigame in Mario Party 4. Can you believe it?
I don't. Seems like only yesterday we were starting this one.
I know. Unlike in the first 3 Mario Party games, there's no bonus ones here to play after this. We've played them all. The last several minigames we've played have all been really high quality ones. I guess they wanted to go out on a bang. But there's still one more to play, so it's never too late for them to screw it up. Our last minigame is the 1 vs 3 Tree Stomp. In this one, the team of 3 are in some giant tree trunk robot vehicle killing device thing, trying to take down the single player. It's the single player's job to survive until time is up to win. But if any of the players on the team are able to hit them before then, they'll win. You'll also have to watch out for banana peels while you play or you'll slip and fall. But on the flip side, there are rare golden bananas that will be thrown as well, and that'll make whoever gets them extremely fast for a little while. But will this be a winning formula that will make our Mario Party 4 journey end on a high note? Or will it ruin our streak of great minigames at the last moment? Let's find out.
So right off the bat, this one reminds me of Goomba Stomp, which we played before. It takes place in those same weird tree trunk vehicle things, except instead of hitting Goombas, you're trying to hit the single player.
If you guys haven't seen that, we'll link it below. I think only having one person control the vehicle made it way easier. When there's 3 people trying to control a massive, awkward vehicle, you end up running into each other a lot, and it doesn't seem like you're making any progress. It was kind of difficult.
Well, I think the thing that I personally prefer about this one is playing as a single player. I'm not sure about you, but I thought it was really fun to run away and dodge out of the way of the team players at the last second.
Yeah, this is another example of a 1 versus 3 minigame being skewed to one side.
Yeah, if you're in the tree trunk vehicles, you just go so slow. And the single player is so small that it's pretty easy to weave in and out of all the team players. But one thing I will say though, is that if you're the single player and you get one of the golden bananas, you go so quick. It was really hard for me to control where I was moving to, and I think every time I lost as a single player, it was because I had a golden banana and ran into somebody.
Gosh, me too. Honestly, I would skip the golden bananas if you're the single player. It made it a little too hard to control and kind of dangerous.
They're much more useful if you're in the vehicles though, because then you actually pick up to a decent speed.
I know. I wish we were going that speed the whole time in the vehicle. It just felt like couldn't really do anything. I felt like I never had a chance to get the single player. Maybe a good strategy would be to corner the single player with the other team players, but playing with computers really didn't allow that to happen.
So overall, like a lot of 1 versus 3 minigames, this one's a lot more fun for one side than the other. If you're the single player, it's pretty exciting to dodge in and out of all the team players and make it to the end of the minigame. But if you're one of the players riding the tree trunk vehicle things, it's just really slow and tedious. I think Goomba Stomp definitely did that part of it better, because at least in that one, there was constantly Goombas all around you, so no matter how slow you were going, you still felt like you were doing something because you were killing Goombas. This one doesn't have that to fall back on, and it really hinders this one. So we're giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today, and that's it for Mario Party 4. Luckily for you though, you can come back next week to watch our top 10 best and our top 10 worst minigame reviews. If you've enjoyed our reviews, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
We'll come back next week to see the last of our Mario Party 4 content.
Hope to see you then.